You click on a head, you instantly kill someone. It's like, whoa!
How many games before that did that, you know?
Valve doesn't always have the best interest for the players.
It's just low-hanging fruit.
How much is it the game changing and how much is it me changing?
What's more important than the things you choose to do with your idle time?
The tricky part is always starting. How do you start?
Just pretend you're leading an army. No. Just give us a good little speech of like, "Hey, welcome back," and I mean, you got it, man.
Like,
you're fine.
It's like a fucking rally call for my audience. Like, here
That's
we go.
right.
We're going to fucking battle right now. This is the battle of our time. This is the battle of our time because this is the ever so highly anticipated competitive debate episode of Idle Time. Welcome back to Idle Time, episode 4. Episode 2 was always there, which we skipped over one. I don't remember which one it is. Episode 2, I skipped one, but it's just going to stay that way, and we're rolling with it. So, Richter couldn't join us today, but I am joined with one of my other lovely co-hosts, Casual TF2. How you doing, man?
Yes, hello. I'm doing great. It's an honor, as always, to be here, and I'm particularly excited for this episode. I mean, we're going to focus on competitive TF2, talking about that. And I'm just especially excited to kind of bridge the gap, hear your perspective, give you my perspective, because
I have like trauma from hearing "bridge the gap," dude. It's like because that was the
I'm
big
gonna give
catchphrase.
I'm gonna give you Meet Your Match 2 right now in this episode. No,
I hear fucking "bridge the gap" and my brain immediately starts like cowering. It's like, no, please, not again. It's like I'm recoiling because I feel like the belt's gonna come down on me again. Like, you will enjoy matchmaking.
but that's what's so interesting about it, because, you know, I really started getting into competitive 2012, and just the climate has changed so much. And it's crazy that even a lot of competitive players don't really know how much it's changed. Like, I actually was talking to Mr. Slynn the other day for the first time in years. Who,
how's he doing?
Some of you will know he's doing great.
That's good.
But just, you know, onto his own IRL stuff, still working for Twitch. But in our chats, I was explaining to him, like, oh, yeah, I'm on this new podcast with, like, have you ever heard of Zesty Jesus or Richter Overtime?
God.
And I was explaining, like, part of my intrigue in initially talking to, particularly you, Zesty, was the sense of, like, learning that there is such a strong anti-comp sentiment nowadays, and that you know, not only you, but a lot of your people are kind of mobilized in that way. And Slynn was just, like, totally surprised. And that's how I felt, too, when I started to find out, like, wait, this is an attitude people have, just because 10 years ago, plus, you know, when I was getting into competitive, there wasn't as much of that out there. So
no,
I'm ready for you to lay it on me.
No, yeah, I think what we need to establish what we mean here by anti-competitive is, like, we're not against competitive TF2 formats existing. Like, if people want to go out and play these things, then go for it. That is undeniably part of TF2's culture and has been since the first year of its launch, right? It's just ingrained in what the game is. But a lot of the anti-comp sentiment comes from a huge bulk of it coming from the fallout of Meet Your Match and how that was the competitive update geared towards competitive players, and how it just left the game in, well, the state we all still enjoy now. That's where a lot of the negative sentiment comes from. And also, attached to that, tangentially, you have a lot of weapon rebalances and things that also affect the gameplay outside of matchmaking that were attributed to competitive player influence or just competitive esports influence in general. And this also extends beyond TF2, where in more recent years, because a lot of video games, not only that have existed since before esports started becoming a lot bigger, but also more recent titles started getting way too heavily overtuned towards catering towards competitive esports audiences, because a lot of people in the gaming industry, like developers and whatnot, were highly anticipating that video games were going to be like the next Olympics. It's going to be the next NFL. It's going to be the next fucking Major League Baseball, right? It's going to be the next World Cup for soccer. They were kind of hyping it up as if though it was going to be on par with not only the success and popularity, but also the profitability of a massive multi-billion-dollar viewing sport experience, or sport viewing experience. Totally. And that was pushed so heavily for years, to the point where many games were intentionally built or geared towards behaving more like a sport instead of being fun. And this isn't to say that people can't enjoy video games as a sport, many people do, but the problem is that a lot of games and the sentiment towards gaming started being steered away towards, well, frankly, the majority, and the majority of people don't have the time to invest in, let alone a single game, to, get good enough to compete at a sporting level. Most people, overwhelmingly most people in any video game sphere, approach games for, if they want to have fun, right? And then how you have that fun branches off into many different things. But when you overly focus on one type of fun, which is the competitive esports environment or audience, then you're going to start rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. And that's a sentiment that's grown more so over the last, I would say, especially over the last 3 to 4 years. So that's where a lot of the negative sentiment comes from.
Well, it's an interesting predicament, right? If you put yourself in the mindset of these big companies who thought, okay, esports are going to be this next big thing. How do we make this game that's going to get the competitive people energized so that we can build this kind of industry around the competition, but then somehow have it still be accessible for normal players, like you're saying, who don't maybe have the time to take it as seriously as these literal professionals who are, salaried players, if we think of, any of the big relevant esports. And I think that's the kind of topic I'm excited to get more into in this episode, is just that understanding, where does the line blur between quote unquote fun and optimization, right? I mean, if we think of conventional sports, part of the beauty of a lot of conventional sports is that you don't have to be sick at it to just play it at a very low level, right?
Of course, yes.
We all can get behind maybe football or soccer or basketball because we played those things casually growing up, and it wasn't some like, oh, well, only the people who have the most time will even be able to play soccer, right?
No, yeah, of course. And you're hitting on something that, so you're talking about like where the line is blurred, right? And in video games, you don't have so heavy compartmentalization of like when it's being taken seriously and when it's not, right? A lot of video games are split apart.
This is the topic.
Right, yeah. A lot of video games are split apart into like a generically casual, labeled sometimes casual environment, or overtly labeled competitive environment, right? And that's where it stops. There's no separation, that you're not all in the same room reading people's body language and facial expressions or understanding the atmosphere that you're in at the moment. You approach the game and it's either full-blown competitive, or it's like, oh, it's not so competitive, it's this casual space where, say for a game like soccer or basketball or baseball, it's like, oh yeah, it's a casual pickup game. We're just going to have some fun with friends and fuck around in the sandlot, that kind of thing. Whereas in a video game, each game all looks the same, and the way it's branded, the way it's shipped, the way it's marketed is going to instill, and also just pieces of how the game functions itself, is going to instill the idea in players' heads that like you must take the game seriously. Winning is emphasized more than the fun element of the video game itself. And I think that's where the line starts getting blurred.
I mean, you're right. That's where the money is. That's where the line gets blurred. That's the thing we need to talk about. Because for me, that's where I'm with you on everything you're saying. And then I start to hear a little bit of this like paradigm I feel that you are in, that I can't relate to as much, that there is almost like this scale between fun and winning, where it's like the more we start to emphasize winning, then this is like less about fun, or vice versa, right?
No, yeah, and of course, there's a subjective element to this too, where depending on what mood you're in or the type of person you are, winning is going to be like you have fun winning. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're succeeding and beating the next guy, then you are having fun. Some people are just built that way and wired. Otherwise, we wouldn't have people like Banny that have 30,000 hours in this fucking game, dude.
Exactly right.
Like, we wouldn't have people like him. But then on like the complete opposite end of that spectrum, you have people that only do one simple thing, or friendlies, right? Or people that
friendlies are the opposite,
or people that go play, I don't know, what's like a super laid back alternative version of like just fucking like talking in a trade server, not playing any kind of
that's perfect
game, right? That's like that's the complete
CP
opposite
orange
end of the spectrum. Yeah, CP
times
orange,
10 CP orange
times 10 all crit CP orange. But even then, people are still playing the game and sweating a little bit. Like you have one guy that's trying to snipe across the map. But
that's the beauty of it. I mean, to me, that's I really want to hopefully demystify the incentive structures for competitive players for a lot of people, because I think there's this misnomer that has become popular about why people play competitive, just for people who aren't connected to it or don't know somebody who plays it, or their only impression of it is Banny, or these people that are the highly visible comp players. Because the truth is that the average comp player, the 99%, what their world is like, what their matches are like, the level of commitment they have, it's kind of invisible to people who haven't actually been in that world, who don't have buddies in it, who aren't in it themselves. And so naturally you kind of look at the top people, YouTubers, whatever, people competing at the highest level, Banny, and we think that like, oh, this is what everybody is motivated by. But this is a very important aspect of it to understand, is that for most people who play competitive, it's not just like only about winning and trying to be the best. For the very top players, for like the top 50 players, let's say, at any given point playing in leagues, it is about that. But even then, TF2 has this unique culture because compared to other competitive games that have had strong developer support, have had huge prize pools, TF2 has never had a huge prize pool, really.
No,
it's always been like enough to pay off the bills for getting to the event, you know?
Like I'm digging into my memory here for like what the largest like iSeries fucking price
and it had to have been like 2012 or 13
yeah,
or
and this
it had to have been
over a decade ago, and it wasn't over 20 grand. It couldn't have been. It was always low. The highest it got was like low 5 figures, if memory serves. It never got
totally. And then you split that between 6 players. You probably have travel fees, lodging fees if you went to an event. That's right, exactly.
Especially if you flew from fucking Europe, that paid for their airfare and their hotel. It covered the cost to actually get there. So you're right in that the people who are doing this are doing it straight purely for the passion of the game, and also the element of it being grassroots and not having the developer support behind it, where it's all community made. But then,
and also, dare we say, fun? You know what I mean?
Well, no. I was just about to get to that.
Okay. Sorry.
Because like the competitive formats that we have are specifically tuned and made because these people find it fun. People play sixes because they find it fun, and they abide by those rules because they find it fun. Same for Highlander or fours, which exists for some reason, and all that stuff.
We can talk about that. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, they do these things because it's fun. Exactly.
Totally true. Because so much of this too is just embedded in the history of the game as well. Because the reality is, like, these formats were built so long ago on such a different version of TF2, not deeply different, but in the sense of a much simpler version of TF2, less unlocks, less maps,
without any unlocks. I mean,
yes, I mean that's right. And so as things have been added, as maps, as different game modes even have been added, there's always been part of the crowd that is very excited and mobilized to like start using them, experimenting with them. And I would say generally you'll find that there's always been a time where things have been tried, but then it just kind of ends up defaulting mostly back to what was already there in the first place.
Yeah, of course.
What was the core TF2 push and pull. But we could talk about a million things here, and I'm super excited. But could you like dig in your own mind for some of the things that just put you off about competitive or competitive players or the culture? Let's avoid the meet your match thing, just because there's actually so much there that I think we've agreed that like that would be a great entire episode, or there's so much just about that aspect of it. But if you just think like, man, what grinds your gears about competitive? Like, what didn't you feel like you understand, or what do you feel like is just a bad move from the comp scene? Or tell me some things. Tell me some gripes.
A lot of it ties back to meet your match. And in an attempt to avoid like the 95% of gripes that I have with competitive that go back to that, I think the main one is the general mentality that a lot of competitive players that I've come across have towards people that are not within the competitive scenes of Team Fortress 2. It's always come off as very cliquey, as very exclusive, and if you're not inside of these very insular groups, then you're often shunned, not shunned, but given like the side eye, looked down on, and kind of mocked, like, oh, these guys aren't in the upper echelon of players. You don't have this epic godlike aim like I do, therefore you're not worth listening to, that kind of thing. And I would say more often than not, like above 50%, and this is my own personal experience, of course, this is entirely anecdotal, but from my own personal experience in my now fucking, how long, 15 years of playing this fucking game, I would say more often than not, I have negative interactions with competitive players than I do positive ones. And that's just coming across them in game, coming across them when it comes to speaking with them about either their outlooks on the game or their general attitude towards it, and towards people that don't play it, overwhelmingly negative. And it comes down to one word, and that is pretentious. They are a little full of themselves. And it just rubs people the wrong way. A lot of them are just kind of unnecessarily antagonistic and grating to be around, and that's the frustrating part.
I mean, would we say antagonistic to just you just mean people who don't play the game competitively, or?
That's the big one, where they're kind
Okay.
of, they're not,
Yeah.
they're, you know, they look down on those that don't engage in the game competitively. And so it's like, oh, I'm a competitive player and you take issue with this thing in the game. Well, you're a scrub and you're bad. Therefore, your opinion's invalidated. Like, you don't matter. We matter
So
more.
in the discussion about what TF2 is supposed to be or whatever, or just general discussion,
just general,
updates,
just like
whatever.
gameplay,
There's a sense of
anything.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's like a
Very
what do they
high
say?
sense of elitism amongst people that play
Right.
competitive TF2.
People might go, oh, well, I'm a competitive player, so my opinion is actually double stock from yours, sort of thing.
In fact, yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I mean, I want to share a little bit with the audience too, because it's part of like what interests me so much about this particularly is like, Zesty, we really first chatted, in voice when you were doing kind of a private screening of your big you will not play video essay. That's right.
Yeah.
And I was honored to be there. I mean, like, dude, as far as I'm concerned, I'm super irrelevant and not active. So again, I'm like grateful for anybody who wants to include me. I'm like, wow, I'm honored to be here. And it was set up by Richter, and there were some other people there, but
and
obviously
your opinion was greatly valued, and you gave some great feedback on it. But continue.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. But I think I brought a little bit of that competitive perspective, right? And that's if it hasn't been stated yet in this episode, it's like, I'm super empathetic to the competitive scene, to people who play competitively, because I've just been around so much of it. But it's also to say I've never been a super competitive player. I've played some seasons 10 years ago, and I've been more interested in other aspects of it. But I'm still going to be the guy who's actually like, I want to defend competitive players in that world when I hear it being disparaged. So it was kind of that perfect in between. Is I'm not coming at you like, fuck you, man, you don't understand. Like, I'm not like because there are those people, of course. There's people who don't care about comp, and then there's people who think, I'm not even going to talk to you because you're not a comp player or whatever. There are people like that, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But what interested me so much in that first chat, because we started to get into some of the comp stuff, and I was watching the video, and there were just some things that you mentioned that it was weird to me, because it just put my alarm bells off, where I'm like, how much has this dude actually been able to perforate, to get inside the scene? And so I literally asked you, I was like, have you ever felt like a competitive player has been like your guy, like just a buddy, or just like, yeah, that dude's my, and you said no, right?
Well, no, because I mean, my own personal interactions, I never was a friend with a competitive TF2 player at all. I mean, my social circles remained very small until I started getting a following on YouTube. So the people that I was most entertained by and large, in the TF2 sphere were competitive players, because they made really funny YouTube videos. People like Manny
or
and
a lot
Tag.
of the content.
Yeah, and
sure,
like those
totally.
guys were fucking great. I love, they're hilarious, and I would tune into their streams often. And Slyn is another name that comes to mind too. They're fun to watch.
Huge shout out. Yeah. But so tell me, I mean, I think it's a tragedy. I think I'm like somebody's parent, and I sent my kid to school, and I found out like they didn't make friends, and I'm like, no. It's like, of course there's bullies and bad people at school, but of course, I am of the perspective that there's great people at school, and you can also make a lot of good friends from that world. But it's so necessary to get into the world, right? And so it makes me empathetic too, to the fact that there's probably a lot of people who do have your experience, and we'll get more into the toxicity or some of the difficulty of getting into competitive TF2, which has always been a problem. But tell me more about, like, why do you think that was the case? Because I'll tell you, I had a very different pipeline, where it was like, I started to make some competitive friends, and then it's like, well, shit, now you're in the scene. Now you make more friends. Now it's like, how do I escape knowing a bazillion competitive people, right? So how come you feel like it never, were there moments where you tried competitive early on, or you met people, or like, tell me about some of that.
No, I never tried competitive TF2 until like 2020, I think, is when I did Highlander for like, I was a sub for a Highlander team, and it was just a miserable experience.
Okay, yeah.
But no, I never interacted with competitive players directly, because, like, I mean, when you and I started playing TF2, when it came to social groups online, a lot of it was contained into forums, and that was, a fairly direct way of interacting with people, but it was something you'd kind of have to go out of your way more so to do than what you'd have to do now with interacting with people. Like now,
100%.
Like accessibility to anybody is so easy, right? And I feel like and the window of opportunity when my views on competitive play were so much more positive before 2016. You know,
Sure,
there were
sure.
fewer opportunities to go come across someone in the competitive area and like kind of get sucked into that pipeline like you did. I like how you call it pipeline. But then, you know, come
Radicalized.
2000 radicalized by competitive play. But I think just like logistically, the reason why I never got sucked into it so much is because one, didn't know where to go because it's not evident where to go to one get into competitive play, who to speak to, that kind of thing. It's always been this very amorphous and ambiguous part of the TF2 competitive scene. But then like after the fallout of Meet Your Match and everything left behind, by then my opinions were more set in stone of like being far more negative, and then by that point in time, then like the common meeting grounds of Discord and Twitter and even YouTube to an extent kind of became solidified as like the main places to socialize for not just TF2 but for everything. But by then I was already, you know, amongst a more casual crowd, so to speak.
Sure,
so I missed that train. In other words, I missed that train.
And I was just curious too if there was any like close attempts or just like negative experiences early on, because it totally can happen. But tell me more now about having
before there were almost no negative experience. It honestly is genuinely like a switch got flipped, not like a hard line, like a pretty thick one.
Well, sure, but from your experience, it was totally switched, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, it was. I went from like neutral leaning positive because when I was in college, like, you know, I started college in 2012. That's when I really got sucked into watching competitive TF2 and watching competitive TF2 players, YouTube videos, and you know, the tip of the hats guys and those streams. I would try so hard to get into their public, their pub servers, and that was so fun. And those guys were great. Those guys were great, man.
I want to briefly interrupt too, just to say that that's also part of why I think so many people did get into it back then, like, or why I think I got into it is just the culture back then. If you think about like YouTube videos, there was all these frag movies and jump movies that were happening and getting like hundreds of thousands of views. That doesn't happen anymore. You know what I mean? And Tip of the Hats, right?
It was warm.
The people who
and Tip of the Hats made it very warm.
A lot of the people with power for general events like that are shoving in, oh, here's a jump segment. Oh, here's a ulti-duo segment. Here's a whatever, right? So it was very different, but continue.
Yeah, so it was in the earlier days it was more warm because general internet culture back then was a lot more warm and not not so standoffish and combative as it is now. So that's another huge factor. But
what about rubbing elbows with other YouTubers and such? Because I'm sure things change too once you become kind of a popular figure in the community. Obviously, you get more hate in general anyway, or more people spewing opinions at you. But like, because I'm sure you've talked to other YouTubers too who are more sympathetic to competitive, right? I mean, what have those kind of conversations been like? Or no, I don't know.
Genuinely,
I assume.
Well, because once I received the mark of the beast, no one wanted to speak to me.
The mark of the beast. What happened, man?
I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with my dramas and whatever.
I'm definitely not super familiar.
Well, no, but like ever since I typed the dreaded T slur a handful of times. That you know gave me the mark of the beast as this crazy transphobe that hated all people that were not heterosexual. And then I quoted the Eric Andre show, the episode with Lance Reddick, where, you know, he says, "Don't rainbow read me N-word ending in the A and not the ER." I tweeted that in 2016, and ever since then, people have just gotten into a habit of calling me this rabid racist that just absolutely hates minorities. And ever since that happened, ever since that blew up in my face because someone made a YouTube video, part of changing internet culture and like cancel culture and call out culture because there's a monetary and social incentive to do those things. Ever since that happened, people just all the doors slammed and like there's no interacting with this guy. I am too bad to interact with. And this also goes in hand with my own behavior from
You're a brand risk.
Yeah, I'm a brand risk, right? Like it was more valuable to engage in the dog pile on me than it was to engage with me charitably.
Damn. And that just happened so early on. I just assumed that there had to be times where you're just like schmoozing with like the big names 5 years ago or something, but maybe I'm off, you know?
No, never really happened.
Damn.
I mean, the biggest names that I've spoken with, TF2, I mean, just like kind of like, I mean, aside from Richter, he's more of a Source guy, Valve guy. I mean, aside from, and this is very recent, aside from, I have to dig deep here. I mean, aside from Wheezy, who I don't really, I mean, he's a nice guy. We're not like bosom buddies.
Sure. Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, but he's, you know, an MVM guy. And then, I mean, Starry Crow is a buddy of mine. I consider him a good friend. He's a really chill dude. He's a competitive spy guy, right?
He's pro Highlander, right?
Yeah, we fucking hang out. He's a chill dude, right? And beyond that, not really anyone else. So,
yeah.
No one else big, you know, like talking 6-figure sub count kind of thing, you know?
Okay, you know, and I'm not going to be that big guy, but I hope too, in the context of what we were saying earlier, I hope I can be the first, you know, like your guy from the competitive world who hopefully kind of lends a branch to you and opens things up.
I mean,
because,
so there was something else too. So my whole anti-comp sentiment got launched into the public eye after I made this, frankly, looking back on it, awful video in response to a video that Array7 made talking about like the casual competitive spectrum. And in his video, he concluded that Valve needs to gear more towards competitive players and that he believed the future of TF2 was as a competitive sport. And that just fucking, that in the most memey sense of the word, triggered me so hard. Like, do you not see what they did to this game after they tried to cater to competitive players for so hard and so long? Like, are you that, like, do you lack that much awareness of what Valve had done to this game? And then you want more of it? You want them to keep doing this after what they did to this game and ruined how you play it and how you engage with it? And that fucking pissed me off because it came off as so pretentious and so out of touch, where it's like, wow, this is someone with a really big following that is pushing for competitive play, but they're so out of touch with what's going on in the normal game that they don't see anything wrong with what they're saying. And so this launched into this really stupid and borderline autistic back and forth where it ended up us using Bionicles as a metaphor. About us kind of like arguing our points, right? It was fine. We talked it out in the end. Like, we don't have any bad blood towards each other. It was just a fucking autistic battle between two guys with different viewpoints.
But that battle kind of made it known largely that you were not down with comp in some sense because of how far you had to go.
Solidified me as like the anti-competitive guy. Like, I hate competitive players, right? That was the turning point.
I have some more to say, but can we talk about the term compy? Did you coin that, or who coined that, or when did people start saying that?
I think I did, or I know I popularized it. I don't know if I came up with it. It's been so long.
Okay, because to me, this is also an example of like when I first heard that term, I was like, "What is happening?" I was like, "Compy." Yeah. I'm like, "This isn't." I'm like, what's going on right now in the world? Because that was never the case, you know, until I don't know whenever that started happening, 2020 or something.
Yeah, I feel like that was in the last 3, 4, 5 years is when the term compy has started floating around.
And so that's the thing. This is my big angle, right? So you have your ideology, Zesty. You're very like, let's revert, meet your match. Let's be critical of Valve, which I am so down with.
Yeah.
But where my nuance goes is I'm like, dude, let's mobilize against Valve, but please do not build a negative sentiment towards competitive players just for the sake of what has happened from Valve. Because I see it as like, dude, no, and we'll get into this obviously more with the Meet Your Match focused episode kind of thing.
That needs to be a whole episode in of itself, because like you immediately kind of say something I disagree with, and the simple point I want to convey too is just for people who don't know, competitive players are just as critical of Valve, if not more, than people who aren't competitive players who are upset with Valve about Meet Your Match and all those changes. So don't have this illusion that, oh, this is the comp players got what they wanted or something like this, right? No, of course not. And I think, excuse me, I think a lot of, you convinced me to, oh my God, excuse me, my dinner is coming back with a vengeance.
My dinner is back.
My dinner is back, and it does not taste as good as it did going down. But, no, and when you gave me some feedback on my Meet Your Match video, it's something that I had excluded that I needed to say that, like, yeah, competitive players also did not want this. This is not, it was, they did not like what Valve did in their attempts to cater towards them.
We poked Valve very hard, and it was that was our dream, in the comp world, was that things would be better for us and Valve would finally acknowledge us in the ways that we wanted. But then it's not that we got our dream and then went, oh, this isn't what we wanted. We never got our dream. I mean, they They did things, unfortunately, because we all would agree that it was not good, and you can
No,
find
yeah, of course.
plenty of evidence for that. But that's just my simple point here is to say, like, look, guys, the competitive community is with you, and that Valve has totally fucked this whole thing up. So
And so
just understand, comp players are not against you. There's going to be assholes, of course.
Sure.
But there's also asshole pubbers who, whatever. You know?
Oh yeah, there's assholes no matter where you go. But I think the split happens for me on this point where Richter helped me come to this conclusion as well, because I had never thought about it this way before. But those that were least affected were competitive players, because the way that they really enjoy playing TF2, which is those competitive formats, was primarily unaffected, because
it's private servers. It's not part of the core game.
Yeah, it solely existed within community servers. And then when it came to weapon bans and weapon bans and weapon balancing, weapon balancing and then weapon bans because of that balancing, a lot of the things that were looked at or touched by Valve ultimately went unused in competitive formats anyways. Not all of them,
100%.
But a good chunk of them, right? So they were the least affected, right? So they walked away like, oh, well, we didn't get what we want, and then they just go right back to their own servers. Meanwhile, everyone else, and this is me directly quoting my awful video I made towards Array 7, everyone else is left to pick up the pieces. Like what about us? What about like the other 98% of players that engage with this game? Like, we felt like we got the huge, massive shaft. And this goes back to how we started this, where like a lot of the negative sentiment comes from. It's like, oh, a huge portion of the problems the game faces today was because Valve made the competitive update for competitive players, to try to get people to get more into competitive play, to make TF2 a bigger esport. And like all of that got hammered into our heads so hard. And then we look, and I was just playing casual mode today, where I shit you not, 4 games in a row, I play for less than 2 minutes each game. The first 2, the game ended instantly. And then the second 2 after that, I played for less than 2 minutes, because Valve had to push a matchmaking system with a win-loss condition in order to cater towards competitive players. And I'll wrap up my rant, I'm sorry. But
no, you're good.
But like casual, I hate using the word casual, because it's not casual, it's vanilla. Like vanilla players like me look back at that and what we deal with now, and we are fucking pissed. And that's why we have that negative outlook.
And let me add too, I mean, my alias had more branding power before the update. You know what I mean? I was just casual, because people didn't call it casual TF2 necessarily. It was like you're saying, it was just TF2.
Yeah, like the mere
and then now it's like
of casual gaming,
mode,
right?
Yes.
The mere concept of casual gaming, or like a casual mode in games, it didn't exist before, 2012 at a wide scale, right? It was a very exponential ramp up in how many games were started doing that, right?
And this is our common ground, because to argue with what you're saying here, like, it's completely true that the competitive community has always been doing their thing, not in the actual core game. Like, we've been making our own plugins, our own configs, whatever, to play the version of the game that we want to play.
I would go so far as to say you are making your own game, and that's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the power of Team Fortress 2, is that you have the freedom, and have always had the freedom to do that.
Sure. Well, yeah, and so we can talk more about that, because I would say too, it's not too different. Things can be very. We'll talk more about that. I mean, maybe that's where we have some good disagreement. But my point is that competitive. This is also my point. There's a spectrum of competitive players you need to understand. So this is where I think I struggle with, like, putting them all in one box. Just in the same way that you can't put all, let's say, non-competitive players in the same box.
Sure.
Right. So the thing is, just because someone's into competitive doesn't mean that they're like not into core vanilla TF2. If anything, I would say it's often usually the opposite, right?
No, of course.
Because
and
most of these people are just people who love TF2 so much that they want to play it at that level too, right? And so it's like, well, what do competitive players do after their matches, after their scrims, when they're on a serious team? They all hang out and play vanilla TF2. You know what I mean? Because
of course,
you can't play competitive 24/7. That's something that we hoped could have been possible from a matchmaking system. We didn't get anything like competitive TF2 in the matchmaking system, so it didn't happen. But for the people, we still love TF2, just like the non-competitive players at its core. It might be hard for people to believe, but like, dude, it's about all the same stuff at its most core. But we can't play it most of the time. We have to be very organized. We have to get people to play. I mean, so we love the core vanilla TF2 just as much as everyone else, I would argue. It's just, it can be hard to remember that or see that when, especially you see certain people who are so, like have such a loud voice and are only focused on competitive, but that's just who they are. You know what I mean?
No,
There's
of
going
course,
to be the
absolutely.
5% of our scene that is the most invested in only
No,
competitive.
of
But
course,
like,
of course, absolutely, and I don't think that at all. Like, I don't think that competitive players only play their formats and literally nothing else. I don't think that they don't
Sure,
love the vanilla
sure.
game. Like, I that's never a position I've had in my mind.
And I'm not saying this to accuse you too. I'm also just thinking that there might be some people out there who do
Oh, absolutely.
not know that. You know what I mean?
There's definitely a non-zero number of people, probably a good portion of people that assume that like, a competitive TF2 player only exists in only like is alive in sixes and is active.
And there
in
are
sixes.
people like that too.
There
it's just
are.
not everyone.
It's not.
You know?
It's not. Yeah. It's definitely not the majority either. Again, because like you said, it's not fucking possible because you have to organize games on your own and yeah.
And these people, I mean, at the end of the day, some part of it is like they just really want to play a lot of TF2. You know, I mean, that we talk about pipelines too. So the thing is, in comparison to you, how I got into competitive and how basically everyone I know who got into competitive got into it is because they had someone, they had a friend, they had someone to like usher them in and be there. Hey, do you want to be my +1 to this thing? Do you want to come in here? And this speaks to the impossibility of getting into it without that. It's always been, like you said,
it's always
intimidating and challenging for different reasons. You know,
it's not like in a literal sense invite only, but you got to know a guy who knows a guy to like get into a competitive. That's just how it's been.
It's real. I mean, it helps too because there you need somebody to vouch for you, to teach you, to encourage you, whatever.
This guy's not a fucking idiot. Like this guy knows how to shoot a rocket launcher. He knows how to rocket
for real.
jump. Yeah, exactly. Because like you're entering the environment when it's being taken more seriously. You have to have someone that's like this guy's not a fucking Neanderthal.
Exactly. And this is actually one of the big thesis points I want to make for people who maybe have never played competitive or just don't really understand why people would do that. I'm a big believer that the number one real glue of competitive and why people stick with it after whatever gets them into it is the social element. Because the number one, here's the number one thing, or I'll ask you, Zesty, what do you think is the number one thing that prohibits players from playing competitive when when they might be interested? The number one yes or no thing where if you have this, actually you'll probably make it, you'll be okay, but if you don't, there's just no chance.
So
what is it?
Just the number one thing that deters people from getting into competitive is
or not even deters, prohibits, right?
Well, I mean,
they get gate kept from it.
Well, I mean, just getting into a server, knowing where to go. That's the main thing.
Okay, I mean, I would agree with you there, but the point I'm trying to say, and it's all good. I'm being like, oh, could you guess it? I mean, it's a little silly, but it's a microphone. It's being able to talk on mic, to have comms. Because the reality too is like most of us when we're getting into this game, we're young. You know, we were both young teenagers or whatever when we were first playing the game. Most people are when they first get into TF2, and that's awesome. There's no problem with that at all. And most early competitive players, not early, but just like most people who start playing competitive are young. You know, I was like 14 or 15 when I started playing, and a lot of my friends who were competitive players were as well. But that is the biggest barrier, is that, hey, if you want to participate, and it doesn't matter if you suck, but if you don't have a mic, you literally actually can't participate. We actually don't want you here if you can't use a mic, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that is absolutely another deterrent. It's like if you just don't have the hardware requirements, you can't do it. But,
or like bugging your parents. I mean, this is a classic kind of meme too. Is just like having a scout on your competitive team who goes, "Oh, my parents say I'm being too loud." Like this is so normal, you know?
No, yeah, exactly. And it's funny that you hit on the social element, the social element, because that brought a thought to my mind. Where earlier in TF2's lifespan, games were inherently a lot more social. So that appeal to go into a competitive environment where it's a smaller group of people, where you have more direct interaction, where you're playing with the same people
Everyone's using
over and
the mic.
over again. Everyone has to use the mic. The social appeal, you know, that was a big part of TF2 in general, because that's how it was almost everywhere. And that was the general mentality, not mentality, but the general environment for a lot of video games, is that they were more so social experiences. And now here we are 10, 15 years after that era, 20 years after that era, where now a game that is a social game is a novelty, where now games, and especially FPS games, are no longer the strong social experiences that they used to be, right? Where now
I half agree. I hear your point where you're coming from. I just don't know if it's as black and white of a shift.
I think it's a pretty black and white shift. I mean, considering that a lot of games don't even come with communication features built in, they have pre-written text messages, specific emotes, specific images and sprays.
Well, I'm not going to be able to speak on too many other games, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a little bit of a sense of what things are like, but also where I will suggest.
So hold on, I want to close that out.
You're good.
But yes, TF2 is still the last bastion of the older era of games that were inherently made to be social, that have user generated communication either by voice or by text or by images they can upload themselves. And still amazing that Valve even thought that was a good idea to begin with, and amazing that we still have it.
Well,
Thank
God. It's a beautiful time.
It is a beautiful thing.
Power to the player.
Indeed. And but what happened and with TF2 is you had a mentality shift, a focus shift. And this started in 2011 when the game went free to play and Valve introduced their own servers. But the notion that you're not playing the game with the same people all the time. The social aspects started getting watered down. And then that really clamped down. I know we're going back to Meet Your Match again. I'm sorry, I'll steer away from it as much as I can. But when the amount of playtime you're offered with the people in a server has been cut down by a fifth, right?
Well, no, it's 100% been. I mean, the consequences of Meet Your Match on the social landscape of TF2 have been devastating.
Devastating in multiple ways, right? But when it comes to even Valve's own servers, players are so far less incentivized to talk with the people in there because they're not going to see them again 10 minutes later, right? And so that is where competitive TF2 still stands strong, is because you have that social element. And also in community servers, the few that remain, you still have that social element that is like still, I would say, the biggest appeal that competitive TF2 has now is like, oh, this is a place where I can actually interact with people and talk and go back and play with the same guys.
Well, and maybe you can argue too that it's been like that since Valve added their own servers, right? Because I can't speak to those like first early years of TF2 because I didn't play them. You know what I mean? I started playing January 2012. So it's like the Valve server thing was already happening. And my point too is to say, at least from back then, it still was such a huge step up to go from an environment where maybe you have some people using voice chat, even in community servers, even in like the tight-knit community servers that did exist around that time, to every single person. And, there's an expectation that if you're playing on a team, every single person is going to be there, whatever nights you agree. So it's just like, I think that's so much of the appeal, because you can get the itch scratched in those just vanilla TF2 moments, especially more common back in the day. But then you have this competitive experience where you go, oh my God, I get to like hang out with the same 5 or 8 people whenever we do this, and we all are chatting. It's just so much. That's right. It's so much more rich socially from beforehand, where even if you're interacting with people in the game, even if you make some buddies, it's just still such a big step. So I just want to convey too that's what gets people hooked,
Yes, and that's what I was touching on earlier when I said it used to be so warm, where you would go watch these streams or these old frag videos, or you'd go and like for me it peaked, the warmth peaked with the tip of the hat streams, where it's like a lot of them were competitive players or involved in the competitive scene, right?
I mean,
almost all of them
basically,
were. Almost
except for like the SFM people at the end.
Yeah,
yeah.
And but it's like that felt like their friendly energy, where they all knew each other and were hanging out and having a good time, was being broadcast for thousands of people. It's like, man, these guys are chill. I want to hang out with these guys. I want to play with these guys, right? And that like really drew a lot of people into that sphere. I think the best advertisement that competitive TF2 ever had were those tip of the hat streams, hands down, like bar none. Nothing else comes close.
To me, it's on the Mount Rushmore. You know, what I mean? I would agree completely.
It's up there, right? Because it just conveyed that level of warmth and social interaction that I think that competitive TF2 now, at least at a public stance, it completely lacks. It's completely gone now.
No.
I mean, now there are so few competitive.
Well, dude, Zesty, are you ready for the black pill?
Oh yeah, hit me with the black pill.
The vanilla TF2 community has lost from all this, right? and the competitive community. It doesn't even relate to Valve, dude, is that in the same way that we're saying, okay, the best advertisement for competitive TF2 happened 10 years ago, 10 plus years ago. Basically, everything was more social and better 10 plus years ago, even within the competitive community, or there was better outlets for people to get into it, because the black pill is that we have only lost our like core social fabric events and
Yeah.
personality culture that we were tapped into. So it's such a big change that, especially if you're a North American TF2 player, changed the scene completely, is that we used to have regular LANs at the end of a season. So numerous times a year, people were going to usually Dallas, Texas for ESEA LANs. And so even if you didn't attend the LANs, you got to see everybody's LAN vlogs, all the pictures. If they would do streams with like, the best production they could, and you get to see people's reactions at the end of the matches or whatever. It was very like hyper social, made you want to get involved, and it put faces to what was happening. And so basically that was dropped, and I don't know, dude, 2015 or something, before Meet Your Match.
The last
A
big
huge
LAN
blow.
was 2017, and then after that, it was like a switch flipped, and there were none. No
Well,
big social events.
and that's,
it was
part of
bad.
it is COVID, but the thing is, like, Rewind Land happened, but even that as a thing, which we did for a few years, that was now a yearly LAN, which
Yeah.
we always had special event LANs, like we had Intel Fest in Sacramento or whatever the hell, but we had regular ESEA LANs, which was so healthy for the scene, let alone like the big events, having the I series, the international LANs every year, and then unfortunately, we lose ESEA LAN. And then we have COVID happen as well. So
Yeah,
there was
COVID was bad for
then we literally had
a lot.
years of no LANs. So that we just have even a newer generation of comp players who didn't
Never
even really
experienced it.
grow up with as much LANs, right? Or didn't have that. So that's the unfortunate aspect of it too, is that even our culture has declined so much.
Oh,
in that
100%.
way.
I mean,
It still
100%.
exists, but
100%.
and we do have good LANs still, but it's just not the same.
Yeah, and the cultural decline happened in competitive play tangentially with everything else in TF2 because Valve ultimately abandoned the fucking game, right? And so
that's right. So all of those people, the tip of the hats people, they're gone from the scene.
Well,
they gave
they're
up,
gone.
dude.
They're gone completely for one reason or another. But I think a big bulk of these competitive guys, they jumped ship because they wanted to be esports
100%.
players. They wanted,
and we can talk about that. Yeah,
I mean, they went for the money. A fuckload went to Overwatch because that was the big cheese back then, right? This was going to be the TF2 killer, and they all went for that because Blizzard was backing it. They're backing it with millions of dollars, just like Valve was doing with fucking Counter-Strike and Dota, and they wouldn't do it with TF2, and that's why they left. They said, "Fuck it, we're done."
That's right. And so for the most serious competitive players, not for most people. I mean, obviously some people might have jumped ship, whatever, traders. I'm not with Overwatch. X hand emoji, arms crossing emoji. No way, bro. I'm Team TF2. But the point is like the people who hop ship were the people who were already spending all their time trying to be the best, really tryharding, whatever stereotypes you have about competitive players that you think they're tryhards. Those people, it's totally true for. They're obsessed with trying to win, trying to be the best. They're competitive people. But the point is, I'm just saying,
yes.
For us, it was almost like, yeah, dude, take the check. You've been doing this for years and getting nothing, and now we have I think we had 5 to 10 people who got Overwatch contracts in that first year, making 6 figures. Good for them, bro.
I blame no one for seeking greener pastures.
Right.
Like, I blame fucking nobody. Like, for the guys that, like, for people like, I always go back to Banny because he's king here.
Well, respect Banny for staying loyal to TF2. Hell yeah.
That's the thing, man. I was going to say, I have such respect for Banny for staying with this game and not going where he could have absolutely.
He had all the chances, dude.
He had
his teammates made it. Yep.
Oh my God. He would be one of the best fucking players in any other game just because he has the mentality. He has this mentality of how he approaches games where he is going to be the best and he fucking puts in tens of thousands of hours, but he stayed with TF2 and I will always have the utmost respect for him for doing that. But a lot of the social guys left too, right? Like a lot of the big guys, like fucking Sideshow is another one. Fucking Sideshow was hilarious.
Dude, our community figures, totally
funny. All the like really big competitive community figures left because they were fed up with Valve. They were fed up with how TF2 is being treated, and they fucking bailed, and all of that warmth
100%, dude.
went with them.
100%. I mean, that's the thing now, because I think how do people even hear about or get into competitive now? That's the unfortunate thing to me is that I think a lot of people they're no longer finding out about it from a popular frag movie, from a popular jump video, from a friendly personality who's big in the scene. They only are hearing about it now from Banny, I
Me.
guess, or
Banny on
or
the
people
positive,
saying,
or me on the
yeah,
negative.
competitive people fucking ruined our game. So it's like that hurts for me to see like the decline
So
of Rome. You know what I'm saying?
So like I will maintain that I've always put the majority of the emphasis on Valve, and I will never
Yes.
I've never said that competitive players killed TF2. Like I've never put it in such a way where it's like, oh yes, it was all them, it was entirely 100% their fault. No, it was a majority on Valve. But their influence in tandem with Valve's goals led to where we are now.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that nuance. It's just what do people run away with? But you
And
know,
I know,
look,
and
I
it
get
sucks
it.
too.
I get
It sucks too, man. It's like I wish going back. I mean, this has all happened 4 or 5 years ago now. Like I wish that I hadn't gone so off my own fucking rocker when I was locked in my apartment for 2.5, 3 years because of COVID. And that's when
Sure.
I mean, this also goes back to why people didn't want to interact with me because I was a fucking lunatic. I would scream in my streams and I'd yell all the time because like I didn't have any social interaction for 3 years. And I was
losing my mind.
Like
Yeah.
I was literally rotting in my apartment for 3 years because I lived. I can't say the reasons why because people will get mad. Oh fuck it. I mean I lived in a very liberal city in America where like I couldn't even go to the goddamn grocery store without like waiting for my turn. It's like and
Oh
so
no, I mean,
I spent.
I get it. I mean,
like,
some places
almost,
were very shut down. Some
Yeah,
places were not, but
I
some
spent
places were.
almost
Yeah.
every waking moment just in my apartment on my computer, and when I wasn't working, I was playing TF2, and so it fucking. And only over the past couple of years, 2 years now, like have I like reoriented myself back to how I was before that era. Like, wow, what the fuck happened there? And it sucks because if that hadn't happened, and it's all my own fault, I'm not blaming one person or another, it's all my own fault, I would have perhaps had a much more charitable broadcasting of exactly what happened in my more fleshed out thoughts on that. And that's why I ultimately made my Meet Your Match video where it was a hit piece on Valve, because fuck Valve, right? That was my apology for that awful interaction I had with the Ray 7. Like, okay, here are my thoughts on this. Here's what happened. Here's why I'm pissed. So that's, I mean, that was like that video was in the works for multiple years. But yeah,
I was just gonna say I appreciate your trying to be human about it, and also I mean just even what you said, admitting you feeling like you went a little too far at whatever point, that's part of why I wanted to talk to you in the first place, because I was like, this guy seems sensible. This guy doesn't seem
I'm not a fucking lunatic like people say.
You're willing to have the conversation, and I appreciate you even doing this episode, talking to me right now, putting a platform for someone like me to kind of try to humanize that other side of the world for people who don't know about the competitive culture. So like,
and I think a lot of people need to hear this too.
You're doing good, man.
I do acknowledge that I fucked up and that I have sent the competitive scene a lot of unnecessary shade over the years, and I do regret that. But what do I do? I can't. I can do my best to undo it now. It's why I want to do an episode like this to show like I don't fucking hate you if you play competitive TF2. Like that's just not true, right?
No, and that will, I mean, I think it will do some amount of good or make some difference, because there has always been some element of tension between the people who love competitive and people who just don't understand it, have a gripe with it. Because I mean, even before Meet Your Match, there were people who were kind of like, just against it, that were like, oh, TF2 was never meant to be competitive. I mean, back in the day too, I'm sure it's still around, I don't know, r/true TF2 was kind of the more competitive centric subreddit compared to the RTF2, which, anyway, there's always been a tension there between those two sides of the community. I just think it's unfortunate the ways that it has become irritated, around this issue, because frankly, everybody lost from it. And just, dude, for me, it's like, dude, I'm just a pro TF2 guy. I'm like, dude, I love core TF2. You know what I mean? I'm in the trenches playing medic in pubs like every night. I fucking love it. And I also love competitive TF2, and I'm like so grateful that I got to experience everything I have through there, even though, dude, have I played on a league actively in the last decade? No. You know what I mean? I'm not that level of a competitive person, but I just I want to clear the air because at the end of the day, too, we are all like TF2 players in this together.
I mean,
like, dude, we all want a playable core vanilla TF2. Like, we all love this game, you know.
It sucks that I don't want to get emotional because it makes me really mad. Like, I hate that. I want to cry because it makes me mad, man. Because like, it sucks that we had like the perfect opportunity to like keep appealing to everybody. Like around 2013, 2014, like shit was really getting figured out with like how competitive players wanted to play, how casual vanilla players were enjoying the game. We had the thriving community server scene with all these other forks and game modes and shit, where it was this really healthy, bustling ecosystem, even through 2015 and in the first half of 2016, where the fundamental pieces of everything we needed that were there, and all Valve had to do was strengthen those things, and it looked like they were improving. Right. They were doing so many things to improve quick place functionality. They were giving more exposure for community servers with the advanced options menu. It's like they only had to do that for competitive play as well. Just like give another lane for either more consistent exposure, more consistent accessibility for these servers, right? And they just fucked everything. They fucked everything up.
They did.
Everything was there, and it was so good, and it was just fucking, it had its problems, don't get me wrong, and there was some flaws, but like all Valve had to do was iron out the kinks. It was
really
man.
Like, don't ruin the game. I mean, that was a prerequisite to everybody's hopes and wishes. Whoever you were in like 2013, 14, whatever you wanted from the TF2 of the future, we all just want there was an unspoken prerequisite of like, well, don't ruin what we have now. What we have now is awesome.
And
you know,
like that was the expectation, right? That was the expectation.
We didn't realize we had to be like, now in hindsight, it's like, oh, we should have been saying that every other sentence. Oh, we want this, but don't ruin what we have.
Like, because we had no idea. We had no fucking clue that Valve was going to drop this awful nuke on the game. We had no idea.
Valve was as out of touch as they were. I mean, there's so many anecdotes we could throw in here, and it starts to blur on the the meet your match discussion. But like
what the fuck happened? Like I know where I keep getting
man.
It sucks that meet your match goes so closely with this because but like what happened? Cool. Where like it didn't seem like they were that out of touch going through 2015.
Dude,
the signs were there. The signs were there, but
we just didn't. We really didn't know.
Actively fucking things up, and then it was so sudden. Like,
yeah. Oh. I mean, and to me, that's always been the strange thing too about there being such an emphasis on criticism for competitive around maps and like weapon balance. Because to me, it's always been so obvious, like, we don't need to make all of TF2 viable for competitive.
Yes.
Because it's like
you can't. It's not possible.
Well, the point is like people don't even want that. It's like there was this weird moment where there were some very vocal people in the community that huge people, the biggest in the TF2 scene. We can at least
hard for TF2 to lean more towards the esports scene. Dane. And then that the game should be rebalanced.
Sure.
And
well,
adjusted,
he's an engineer main, so that's part of it too. I mean, part of the weird part about all this, it sounds like I'm talking smack, but dude, I recently was talking to, recently in this year, a kind of high profile-ish TF2 YouTuber type person about competitive stuff, and they also, they really had no understanding of competitive, or like they'd never played it or really had friends that were into it, and we were talking back and forth, and they said something like, "Oh, well." I don't know what the sentence was, but they implied that Solar Light, the like demo night YouTube guy, was like our guy. He was like, you competitive people like Solar Light, which just my context here for people who don't know is to explain that. Well, this guy, I have no judge of his character or whatever. I don't really know him. A person like that who plays demo night. This is an alternative play style within competitive.
Don't 95%. Say that around him. Don't say that around him.
Well, I'm saying this is the reality of someone who's met. I know competitive. Look, dude, normal people, they don't even know who that guy is, or they definitely don't think he's our guy. So that just shows me how out of touch people are.
Even competitive players don't like Solar Light, man.
Oh no, it's not even a question. It's not even a hot take. It's like, dude, we don't want to play with Demo Knight in the game. No one does.
Oh my god.
And it's not, dude, it's all love too, dude. Like I respect that you like playing that and that's cool. Like be on your own agenda, but I'm just telling you the reality. You know what I mean?
No,
and so it's crazy that people then might watch him and then go, oh, like this is like the community leader for competitive or whatever. Or just that's pasting their impression.
He's certainly the biggest figure in the TF2 scene right now that's very openly pro-competitive. And it is weird, as you said,
which is so ironic because
this coming from the Demo Knight guy. It's like, we don't want this guy.
Right. Dude,
Who is this guy?
And let me give you some lore too. This is good bonding.
I need
for
a little
us.
bit. I need to give you a little bit too, just in terms of Solarlight. He and I are not on good terms. He and I are not on good terms.
Okay.
We've had beef for many years now, and it's very one-sided. He has this massive hate boner for me. I've never like done anything to this guy. Like, I shit you not. Like a switch flipped with him, because this happened like 4 years ago now, 5 years ago now. I can't remember exactly when. It was in the 2020s. We got into like this back and forth spat on Twitter about game balance. I don't even remember what it was about, either like Demo Knight's charging or Air Blast or something. But like he instantly like redlined when after I said something about balance, and he started, he jumped on the bandwagon train, like, well, aren't you like this transphobic racist guy? And then it just went downhill from there, and he's been like my number one bestie,
number one hater
since then. No, my number one bestie. I think he loves me, honestly. But
I see. Well, you're a likable guy, so that's what it is.
I know. I am a lot of man. I know I'm a big hunk of man. But listen, man, I'm taking.
All right, chill.
I'm taking Solar. I'm taking. It's a joke in my community.
No, you're good. You're good.
But just for the record, he and I are not exactly on good terms. And like, I wouldn't mind having a conversation with the guy. He just blocked me everywhere. And like, I would poke the bear. I'd throw a gag or a joke in a video or two, kind of poking at the guy. But he gets so fucking uppity about it. I don't know why he does. Anyway.
Well, that's always been, part of the problem of all this is that if we're trying to have discussions about what TF2 can be or what it is or all sort of things, I mean, personalities are at play, and I would say a lot of the early competitive, like, community leaders. So even the people you're mentioning, people who hosted Tip of the Hats, think Lang and Truck and
fucking Truck's another one. God, he was
and all those
great. God, he was
funny.
I mean,
I'm forgetting all the the production people or people like X-Time and Mana and whatever. All these people who put on these events
and Get a Whale and
oh, totally, dude.
Fucking, a lot of guys.
My point is, all of those kind of people, I think, just are generally more like kind of open, friendly people, and that's why they ended up in those roles. Like, they were the people willing to have the conversations with people and not like, none of those people are controversial, really. I mean, there's different things we could nitpick or whatever, but like X-Time, nobody's got bad stuff to say about X-Time. Like, that dude was
I've never
awesome
seen a
to
bad
everyone.
Never
you know what I'm saying?
A negative thing about X-Time. He just seems like the nicest dude.
And so, so I get to that now. Things are different if, the only guy talking about competitive is somebody who, whatever. He doesn't like some people, which is
he's abrasive. I mean, that's to say the least.
And that's the point too. Not everyone in personality is gonna be like Mr. Slind is a fucking angel, dude. Mr. Slind would talk to anyone, even if they're like, arguing in a pug and telling him that he's a terrible person and doesn't know how to play. He'll be calm and talk to them. Like, there's been a lot of those kind of people previously, but not anymore. Okay, but I know I'm going off here. Here's
your lore.
No, you're totally good. Yeah, so I appreciate the lore on that with Solarlight. So. Okay. So the thing I wanted to share with you, my bit of the lore, quote unquote, was just some of my perspective and how it changed when I got into competitive up until now, and specifically talking about like game modes, maps, the class you play, and how this can kind of affect all of that. Because we mentioned, I made a quick remark about like, well, Uncle Dane's perspective is going to be a little bit tainted by the fact that he is an engineer main, right?
Heavily skewed.
That's right. And so when I got into competitive, my first initial excitement and passion was the Highlander format, primarily because I was a spy main. I was like, I played a bit of soldier, but that was kind of my previous thing. I was really energized around spy. And
why do I know so many spy mains? I know so many spy mains. I like out
of all the best people on earth. No, I don't even know if that's true. I mean, I'm like an ex-spy main, but
like all the people that I knew who are or were spy mains are like consistently the nicest people.
Dude, this is awesome. Like TF2 astrology. It's like, dude, I always get along
That's
with
like
Spy
the
Man.
perfect video for somebody as TF2 astrology. Anyway,
Dude, so real. Yeah, I mean, there's some good ones. Stabby's like the chillest MF of all time. He's a Spy Man. So,
yeah.
but my point is that when I got into the game, I saw that as like the competitive game. I saw that as the only place for me. It's like a Spy Man. Well, I have to play Highlander, and it wasn't my first, or no, I think it was my first attempted season. I was trying to like co-lead this Highlander team, which by the way is a fucking nightmare if you haven't experienced trying to be a team leader, trying to get 9 people to show up on time is awesome.
I got a little bit of that via osmosis with my 10
Oh,
seconds
man.
in Highlander. It's a shit show.
And by the way, this is a spoiler of one of the realizations is that basically everyone eventually goes, yeah, Highlander's kind of a pain and Sixes is more fun.
Yeah.
Not everyone, but I'm just saying there's a lot of people who have this kind of trajectory who even people like me who are a Spy Man or whatnot. But the point is, when I was a team leader, I was very like, even at this time, like 2012, 2013, I was frustrated with how I guess you could say conservative or just kind of not open to trying new things the competitive scene was.
Mhm.
Like I was kind of bugged by not even the weapon bans necessarily, but like even the weapon metas, right? So this was also a time where like the first time I ever played competitive was on the website TF2 Lobby, which is where you can play a short pickup game or whatever with random people in a competitive format. I played Soldier because that was kind of my main too. In addition to Spy, I used the black box because it was my favorite item. I used it in pubs, and I'm instantly getting flamed by my teammates. Don't run the black box. Don't do that. And the hilarious irony of this, of course, is that there are established metas at the time. It doesn't even mean that the black box was banned. You're just not, quote unquote, supposed to use it. And then ironically, of course, over time, come 2015, 16, there's a very famous player named Shadowburn, who again, he's one of the people who went on to play Overwatch.
Shadowburn Legacy,
big
great
money.
frag video.
He popularized, among other people, I'm sure, hey, we can use the black box in Sixes, just like the Market Gardener. There's all these kinds of stories of if you use the Market Gardener, if you had that equipped in 2012 or 13, people are going to be like, dude, stop, you're throwing, right? And then you look at over time, it becomes meta or things change. But so the point is, even then, I had an intuition for that like, dude, why are we not allowed to use the black box? And sure enough, people would eventually come to embrace it. But so I was very like wanting to do things different, even though I basically had no Highlander experience. And one of the funny ways that that was expressed, I don't know how people accepted this, when I would organize scrims, and scrims are basically just like practice matches before your real league match, I would try to get the other team captain to agree to like the craziest maps that like weren't in rotation.
Yeah.
I don't know why. So we would like scrim on like TC Hydro or like these, and then you'd realize like, there's not even a proper config for territorial control. It's like, what are we even doing? And I don't even know why. I think we would do like an arena lumberyard scrim. But my point is, I was excited to like break the metas or try these things. And inevitably you start to learn that what is the problem with these lesser tried things? It's not actually the thing itself not being able to be viable. There is a universe where we're playing competitive TC Hydro. It's possible. The problem is that if you go, hey, let's play competitive Hydro, we're back to square one. There are no metas. Nobody knows how to play. A lot of people don't even know the map or the order of the stages, whatever. And a lot of what makes competitive fun is there being so much stability and structure to people knowing what to do, knowing the rollouts, knowing where you're supposed to go, knowing how to play off of an Uber, knowing how much Uber the other team has, knowing who's alive. It's very much so about people knowing what they're doing. And so it makes sense too why if you throw 12 random people who've never played competitive into a competitive server, quote unquote, running a config, and you say, okay, you guys have to play these classes and do these things, it might just suck. You know what I mean? If nobody knows what to do according to the competitive meta. So that's just something I wanted to share.
And that is the second, if not biggest. So aside from knowing where to go to play these formats and how to get into a server and basically needing someone to usher you in,
even starting
outside of the logistics, competitive TF2 formats are so different at a fundamental level from the vanilla game that it's a massive turnoff for your typical player. Because what's your typical player used to? Your typical player is used to playing whatever the hell they want, wherever the hell they want, at whatever level of intensity they desire.
Just not even really thinking that much about your team. You know?
Exactly, right? But now suddenly it's like, oh, okay, I now have this desire. It's like, okay, this is competitive TF2. Now I want to approach this with a more intensive level of attention, right? I want to actually like I want to try harder to win. But then you get into it, it's like, oh, you suddenly have all these other freedoms you're so used to taken away from you. It's like, what do you mean I can't use the black box? What do you mean it's frowned upon to use the market gardener? That kind of thing. Or just, what do you mean some of these weapons are just flat out banned and I can't use them, right? That's a massive turnoff, and that's something I touched on in my Meet Your Match video, why competitive Team Fortress 2 formats, especially sixes, just really couldn't get off the ground. It's because it's so different from the vanilla game that it's a huge wall that only appeals to a very small minority, much like every other derivative fork of the game. It's only going to appeal to a small minority, and that's fine, and that's okay, right? You're going to enjoy what you enjoy. But that's a massive hurdle. I mean, Eckstein put this beautifully in his video that he put out after the first Valve visit, where it's like, oh yeah, great, competitive TF2. It's like, whoa, what do you mean I suddenly can't, use all these weapons? Or like, what do you mean like the Pyro is barely played? I like Pyro. They're being mad at me for playing Pyro. That's gonna instantly turn off a lot of people, because what if that guy is like a Pyro main? Right? And a lot of people get set in their own ways. Even in a game like Team Fortress 2, where you have the freedom to do whatever you want, people get set in their ways. They become a main. They have their preferred loadouts. And when a huge chunk of them are incompatible in some literal ways because weapons are banned or frowned upon, that's a big turnoff. And they're not gonna, a lot of people, and it's just human nature, are not willing to get themselves out of their own comfort zone and try something new that they might actually enjoy, right? And that's on a case-by-case basis.
Well, and so here's the thing. Here's where everything you said is true, and I'm gonna kind of flip it and say, but there's also a positive to this, or there's another way that you can look at this, is that, and this is the thing that a lot of people do maybe realize, and people like myself who were what Eckstein was kind of describing, right? I was that guy who wanted to use the black box, or I wanted to play Spy, so it's like, okay, well, now I can't even play sixes, I have to play Highlander. And the funny thing that some of us realize is that I don't know if there's a way to put Spy into the competitive formats and have it be fun as core TF2. The truth is, dude, as a Spy main at heart, and I have 1,000 hours in Spy or whatever, the best times are in pubs, man. It's not the best times as Spy are not in Highlander. There have been some awesome times, but also any Spy main who's played Highlander will tell you there's some times that fucking suck when you're playing like a Koth map and your job is to permanently harass the sniper who is constantly being guarded by a Pyro and a medic heavy combo. Like, dude, that is not the Spy you fell in love with. That's not why you like playing Spy. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. And I mean, also, like, Spy's deterrent is player communication. And when the entire enemy team is not only aware of you, but it's fucking hard. Where you are, it's hell.
Of course, it makes it thrilling too. It makes the highs higher. But my point is, dude, I think every Spy main, like, I know Stabby would have some sympathy to this as somebody who's played so much Highlander and so much pub TF2 that they're just different. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's things he'll tell you about why Spy rules in Highlander, and then I'm sure there's things he'll say that aren't as quite enjoyable in Highlander that are more enjoyable in pubs. My point here is that in the same way that we can argue, like, dude, the competitive scene should be at least somewhat open to trying some things out, right? And I think my perspective is there's places to try it, but the thing a lot of people forget too is that things often have been tried. It's just it quickly reaches a consensus of this isn't actually that fun. And so here's the thing to understand about that. But look, the thing is, we do collectively decide it. This is why Solar Light's, wanting to include Demo Night in the game. Dude, everyone who's a Demo Night main is going to agree with him and want that in competitive. For everyone else who plays competitive, and I don't even know if it has to do with your main. I mean, I know demo mains who like playing Demo Night or whatever, but then they also understand that, like, dude, if I'm playing serious, if I want the most enjoyable competitive environment, just in the same way that you need people knowing the basics, knowing where to go. Like, if you have some guy on your team who doesn't know how to roll out, it's just less fun. It's not about it being not as try-hardy or whatever. It's antithetical to you having the most fun. The most fun matches you will have don't have some random guy playing Demo Night that's disrupting all of the
Well,
the meta, because
it's disrupting the flow, right? Because when you're going
right.
into this, that you have
You
the
build
expectation
strategies
that everyone
based
knows what they're
on-
doing, right? And when someone doesn't
that's
know what
right.
they're doing, it slows you down and puts you at a disadvantage because a bigger part of competitive play is winning. And then when you kind of have to babysit someone that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing or is pulling you down because they want to do something different, it's like, well, shit, we're gonna lose now, and the fun is just sucked out of it because now you lose the even footing.
Right. The difficult part of it, like I will admit too, like I played some amount of sixes in my early years of competitive. I don't think I really got like the joy of playing sixes until much later. Like literally it kind of took playing the same maps, like playing a process, playing a goalie wash like dozens of times to like kind of understand just even what I'm supposed to be doing, to go, wait, now it's fun. Now that I can make strategic choices. I understand I should be doing this because we're on the second point and we have uber disadvantage, whatever, all those things that I didn't know at the beginning. So my final point here is in the same way that we're going to, appropriately ask, hey, whoever's making these formats should be open to trying things, trying new maps, whatever. And that's a constant discussion in the community. I also suggest to people to enjoy competitive, you also need to be open to the restrictions. You need to be open to it not being exactly what you might want. If you're a spy main, if you're a pyro main, if you're a soldier main who uses the black box, whatever it is, right? There's all kinds of things. It's going to be different from the TF2 you're used to. But I'm a big believer that like everyone can enjoy vanilla TF2. Like I think even if you're just a general gamer, I believe put this guy on the right map, put this guy in the right class, make it the right amount of balance. Anyone can have a great time playing TF2. And I believe the same for competitive. I just think it needs to be that perfect storm sometimes, or it just can take time to like get the basics enough. Just in the same way that if you introduce TF2 to a friend who's never played it, we've all had that experience of like, oh, I really want them to enjoy it, but you can't control their experience completely to make sure it's like on the right map and they're, you know what I'm saying?
No, I know exactly what you're saying. And in this perfect world, both of us being true TF2 fans and wanting the best for every aspect of this game, ideally everyone that comes across Team Fortress 2 would love the game and would enjoy it and would stick around.
Yes.
And in the ideal world, there would always be an ideal situation for every type of player. Like you said, the right setup, the right map, the right format, what have you.
But I think also it's not
possible because
it's not possible.
People
right.
just have different tastes for everything. I mean, for me, like I could get set up with, I don't know, like what's a game that I know I fucking hate?
Do you like MOBAs?
No,
like
I have
Dota
fucking.
2?
Okay, yeah, put me in. Just like sit me down in front of League of Legends. I'm gonna have an allergic reaction as soon as the game boots on my computer. It's just something I do not enjoy. And no matter what you tell me, no matter what situation you put me in, I will not have fun because I just don't like that kind of game. And that's just how a lot of people are with Team Fortress 2. They come into TF2 and it's too chaotic, or it's too.
Dude, I believe though. I'm a believer. Right. There's got to be a way.
I mean, that'd be great. I wish I was a believer in that too, but I'm a much bigger cynic in that. Okay, it's not reality, man. And that transfers over and gets diluted, or not diluted. Opposite of diluted, it gets concentrated more when you're going into competitive Team Fortress 2, because you're now going into a very different environment, and that's just not going to appeal to everybody. People try it, and it just doesn't suit them because that's just not how they enjoy playing the game. And you could get them into a competitive game 6 ways from Sunday, but if they don't like the format, then they don't like the format. If they don't like the attitude, they don't like the attitude. It's just I'm just
a believer that like I just don't think most people who aren't competitive players have experienced it. Do you know what I mean? Because I think, like, in my mind...
In TF2's case, absolutely not, simply by means of lack of accessibility, right? Most people that
100%.
have played, like, I would say 99.9999, several more percent of players have not experienced a competitive format simply by nature of accessibility.
Okay, that's too much, though. That's too much.
So I'm talking about
I would agree with, like...
scheme. I'm talking about, like, the grand scheme of Team Fortress 2. Like, over all of the years the game has been in existence, out of all the players that have come and gone, every single person that has ever booted Team Fortress 2
even up for, like, 7 hours. All right. Well, I would say, like, 99 maybe I would agree with, but I still feel like I think all the point nines are...
I'm due the extra nines, right? But that's not just competitive. It's not just competitive. It's everything else too. It's all of the other custom community server game modes. It's everything else too, right?
How many people have even experienced arena game mode at this point or whatever?
Exactly.
Right? It's becoming a minority. Yeah.
Exactly, right? And that's not just competitive, it's everything, right? And that's like a big angle that I have on competitive Team Fortress 2 is that I view it as just another custom community game mode. Sure, it's bigger, it's more robust, it has a lot more
and I
soul
agree.
and a deeper grassroots origin, but so do a lot of other custom community server things, right? There are a lot of deep grassroots origins.
Pastime, for example, I think is a perfect example of just like a alternative game mode, very clearly alternative, even man versus machine. It's just it's not vanilla TF2, and I would say the same for competitive. It's like, dude, Six's TF2 is not vanilla TF2, obviously.
No, and
maybe if you were playing in 2007, it looked a little closer, but it's like, dude.
Well, I mean, of course, it was much closer. It was much closer to vanilla TF2 back then because it was just. Right. I mean, it was all we had were the vanilla unlocks, right?
Okay, yeah. Go off. I have more. I have a hot take here in a sec, but
no, go ahead. That was it. What's your hot take?
Okay. This is where, this is my hot take, is that I think friendlyism has become too accepted.
Okay, we're in the same boat here. I'm in the same boat with you.
Okay,
because, dude, at least with TF2, I agree. I think, in my opinion,
I think the needle's gone too far because, okay, look, like
I agree so much with
because, dude, this is my problem. This is where I feel like we have to be a little bit more pro comp, quote unquote, like pushing in that direction. Because, dude, okay, look, I'm fine.
We have to fight back against the friendlies.
Because, dude, I'm fine with the argument of like, dude, not everyone's gonna like it. Like, dude, I'm not trying to force anyone to like something that they don't like.
Of course.
The closest thing I'm trying to force is I want people to have a positive experience of competitive because I know you can have a bad one and you're not gonna like it, no matter even if you want to like it, right?
Of course.
That's my agenda with competitive. But as for real, dude, like if you look at my hours in the last year, I've played a lot more pub TF2 than I have competitive TF2. A lot more. And dude, I can't tell you how frustrating it is to get into a lot of games where like, dude, I don't necessarily need to consider myself a crazy try-hard player to be like bothered by like how normal and accepted friendlyism is. Because this is the same thing we were talking about earlier. It's like, bro, if like the only way I can win the match now if I show up with like friendlies is like submit and also be a friendly. It's like how do I get my fun if my team has like 6 friendlies and their team has like 2 and now we're just getting stomped and it's like, oh, I'm supposed to just like shut up and enjoy this? Like, bro, we're enjoying the game our way.
The real enemy at the end of the day was
friendlies. You go off.
The real enemy at the end of the day, the one that we vanilla and competitive players could get behind is the friendly menace. People that are choosing to not play the game at all. People who are not playing the fucking game.
Yes.
Like, for me, there's always been like the friendly servers. Just go there. The problem is that community servers died, and now that's been a massive influx over the years.
It's the culture, though. It's become acceptable. Because here's the thing, dude.
No, I need to go off. I am okay. Sorry,
go off, dude.
So I will always and forever, like if Blue Panda is another YouTuber. I don't know if you've seen his stuff before. Very insanely talented animator. I will forever love him for putting this out there. But like what Valve did in response to competitive play failing was go super hard in the opposite direction, swing the pendulum completely in the different direction. Where instead of TF2 being this hyper sweaty competitive esports game, it's the carnival. It's fucking Toys R Us. You have all these little gizmos and gadgets and activities you can do with that when you're not playing the game, in all of this extra downtime when you're not playing the fucking game. What can you do? Oh, Heavy can drive a little car around. Scout can play the bongos. She's got a scooter now. And Medic can look at your x-rays and go, that looks pretty fucking bad. And the Pyro can play in a kiddie pool. Like, that's what happened. We went from playing the game too hard to not playing the game at all. And it's just, and so that has facilitated the rise of the friendly. This isn't like a fucking plague or anything. I'm not like trying to like make this a Hitler-esque social movement.
But we need people to feel...
But
we do need to push the needle. I mean, like, I agree. It's not enemy number one.
Yeah, it's not. But it is absolutely something I've noticed too. And whenever you get upset when like, hey, can we like play the game? It's like, well, you're just people get really upset. They get really upset. Like
that's yes.
The people who I see get the most angry in Team Fortress 2 are people
friendly
that are not playing
defenders,
the
bro.
game. It's people who are not playing the game. You kill the friendly and they fucking seethe. Or the people that are mad at you for killing the friendly, they fucking seethe. It's like, I just want to play. Like this is not what we're here for.
Yeah, when did playing the game become a crime? That's the problem I have with it.
We are gonna get so much shit for this in the comments, dude.
Good. Well, fuck them, dude. I'm sorry. Look. Here's the thing. I'm not gonna say like eliminate all friendlies. Friendlies have no place in this world. I'm just saying that they should be a minority subculture. They should not be promoted and like accepted as. I'm so serious about this because
loving this. I'm loving this.
In 2012, 2013, like my early years of TF2, I witnessed the beginnings. Well, I mean, there was stuff before this, but I know what it was like to try to do friendly stuff back then. Okay, it was not accepted. It was a rebellion, and that's part of what made it cool. Was that everyone wanted to fucking kill you, and you're taking an anti-violence stance, or you're doing something a little alternative. Like I remember. Like, Lazy Purple's early videos, Stars videos around this era, 2012, 13, like popularizing the market garden, or, popularizing being a little more humorous and not so obsessed with the objective and like having more of that friendly leanings. That's what inspired a lot of people. Like I was one of those guys who saw those videos and then went out to Koth Harvest and tried using a shovel. And I made friends with shout out Socrates, the battle philosopher. I don't know if he's still on my Steam friend list. He was a mittens heavy on Harvest, and we made friends, and that's like a core memory for me. But everyone was trying to fucking kill us. We didn't ruin the match. We didn't make nobody cap the point anymore. You know what I mean? And so now we're at this spot where it's just gone too far in the other direction. You're not a rebel for being a friendly. You're just lame. I'm sorry.
I agree. I just agree with you 100% on this.
And you can have fun your way too. Again, it's like I'm sorry to blessings to anyone who just enjoys being friendly, but
no blessings to friendlies.
No, and no friendly defending. And people need to defend people who play the game. We need to get the right mindset back in here.
I will agree. I agree.
Why even make these maps? Why even care about weapon balance? Why care about any of this if we're just gonna AFK with our melees out and try to be cute or whatever? It's like
or fucking hop on a pogo stick around the map or something. It's like.
Yes, so this gives you empathy too this is part of why, unfortunately, or whatever, it can be difficult to get new players into competitive, not because of friendlies, but that same experience of like what we're describing as friendlies, like kind of ruining your experience of the game, that can be what it's like for people with less patience to play with a brand new player in the competitive scene, like somebody who has no competitive experience. So
I've seen that. I've seen so many competitive players complain about that over the years, man. Where
some people just don't have patience. Look, like I'm a patient dude. I'm gonna try to help new people, but some people just want to play and have fun, and it's like, dude, fuck you for ruining my experience.
That's been a consistent issue with competitive TF2 is being open to new players and easing them in and giving them the information and helping them and and bringing them under your wing. I would say a lot of people. I don't know exactly how many, but people are just averse to doing that. They don't want to put in the work.
Well, here's the thing.
Bring those people in.
I got to shout out some of the people who have, because anybody like real competitive player listening is like their ears are bleeding right now. They're like, you have to mention, just because there have been people like that.
Yes, of course, and there have been people that have helped them out. Absolutely.
Yeah, like newbie mixes have been a thing for a long time. But my point too is to say the people who host those are like angelic martyrs, like even within our scene. No, for real. Dude, hosting newbie mixes, that's not easy. And it's not necessarily intrinsically fun. You're not playing the game. You're coaching. You're babysitting people. You're coaching people. That's right.
You're herding cats is what you're doing. You're herding cats to get people to play competitive TF2.
It's unpaid employment. And there have been people, but it's just those people have not been, Star, whatever, the people who were the big YouTubers. They did a lot to let people know competitive existed. But, it unfortunately is not as easy as just log on, just hop in, get in here. You need a friend. That's part of it too. That's why I said it's kind of a prereq. Like you need someone to take you under your wing. It can feel like,
and feed you information because it's not enough to know it exists, right? And
which is that's right.
And that's like a point I made in that Meet Your Match video too. It's like there was no shortage of exposure to the existence of competitive TF2. There were big YouTubers. Valve had blog posts. There was multiple means of exposure. The biggest streamers, big events, right? But then the problem comes with that. Actually getting into the gameplay, either with someone ushering you in, helping you out, or becoming accustomed to trying something new and trying something and
having thick skin.
And having thick skin, which just some people don't. Some people can't handle the shit talking. Some people just go, "Fuck this! This sucks. I'm out of here."
Exactly right. I mean, that's just such a real aspect of it always is that like I'm going to vouch for competitive. I'm going to say, hey, it's awesome. People should try it, whatever. Most of the people are really good people. But the reality is, it has always been clicky, as you said earlier. It's always
100%. Oh,
it's
man.
taken energy to infiltrate. And I say that too, because I just remember how intimidating it was back then to add up for pugs on IRC. Nobody knows who you are. They all know each other. You're not going to get picked, even if it's the beginner group. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
maybe you do get picked, and then people don't know who you are. You don't perform well enough. It's tough. It's an uphill battle, especially if you're doing it alone.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you have to know, buddy. A lot of people who play on a
Or you have
competitive
to
team,
have-
they're all friends.
That's right.
They're all friends together, right?
Or you become friends. You need the thick skin though. I mean, it's always
Yeah.
something like that. It's like, oh, my older brother told me about it. He got me into it. I had one friend. I mean, I had a friend who got me into it. That's how it happens, you know.
Yeah, and
But-
that was with me too. I had a buddy of mine who was a sniper main on his Highlander team. He's like, hey, we need someone that wants to sub. You want to like do this with us? I'm like, yeah, sure. And I got, I did a tryout. The tryout consisted of me like showing I'm not an incompetent fool inside of a Valve server, and that was it. That was my in was a friend.
So here's my question to you, Zesty.
Yeah.
This is where it gets personal now.
Okay.
Do you believe that there's a space for competitive in your heart that you've yet to embrace? That, for example, is it possible that you have yet to have the eye-opening competitive experience in a positive way?
I already had it.
Playing competitive.
I did. I had it when I played Highlander. So like
No, but that's my point.
Well, no.
Highlander, this is already inherently problematic.
Why?
You could have had a great time, but you could have, dude. Because I'm saying if we go by statistics, what's most likely to be like the best pleasurable experience in TF2? I can't, in good faith, bet on Highlander.
So for
Even
me,
people who play Highlander say it's
no,
hell.
sure, sure. But like for me, it's like the high I get from TF2 is just when I don't have one, if that makes sense. It's a game
when you don't have a high.
Yeah, so like when I play TF2, it's something where I can just chill, I can just relax, I can just frag and DM, and it's fun, right? The objective is there, and I work towards it, and then like you win, like, oh yeah, that was fun, or you lose, and like, oh yeah, that sucked, but I got a couple of really good kills, and for me, that's enough. For me, that's fun. And when I went into Highlander, and all of those, the laid back nature of it was gone.
What class did you play, by the way?
Soldier I played, and so like the laid back nature of it was gone, which is the big appeal for me. And then the highs were massively amplified, and I got a couple of really good highs where I'm like, man, this felt really good. But then the time between those highs was misery. Like it just wasn't fun for me, because like it sucks just getting your shit pushed in, and then like, well, fuck, and then I get chewed out by the guy who is leading the team, what have you.
Sure.
Like I got bitched at for jumping. It's like shit like that. It's like I don't want to have.
Well, that's also. I mean,
I don't want to have to deal with that. And I wrote this down because this came to my mind earlier. Is like the high moment that I had was when I equipped the battalion's backup, and they were bitching at me for using the battalion's backup. And I put it on anyway. And
it was a contrarian moment, and you proved them wrong.
I proved them wrong because we won the fucking game because we had a really solid push where I used the fucking battalion's backup, and they just could not stop us. It was like, yes, eat shit. This is a good item, and I can use it. I can use it to effect, and that felt really good because then we won. I was effective. I was helping my team. That was really satisfying. And then and then it just kind of went right back into like it just felt like a slog, and also
that
having
all
8
makes
people,
sense.
8 people
Yes,
in your ears.
I know, but
is
bro,
just,
but bro,
it's a lot. I'm autistic. I can't like loud noises. I can't mow the yard without earmuffs on. It's.
I mean, bro,
I'm kidding,
this is why I'm not gonna say that Highlander is the best competitive game mode. I mean, I think everything about your experience makes sense, and I still say. I'm not saying you need to change yourself, but I'm saying, are you open to the possibility that you're yet to have a different kind of competitive experience that would intrigue you further? Or go, oh, actually, I kind of actually see a different side of what's going on here. Because I think you described all the things you like about playing pubs, and I just feel like that's very close to, I think, what you get from a positive competitive experience, in my opinion.
It does not appeal to me. It's just not something that I
Okay,
that I'm
no, and
super,
I know it doesn't appeal to you.
I'm stoked with, man. And like, if it was,
I know, but I'm not asking if it appeals to you. I'm asking, are you open to the idea that there's a possibility that you can have an experience that will change your mind about it?
I mean, not to turn me into a regular competitive player. Would I have fun? Sure, yeah, I'll have like a high moment where like, oh yeah, this is great and fun. But I mean, I'm
No, but
I'm not going to be steered away from engaging with the game how I have been for 13 years.
No, but it's not that. Again, that's black and white too. I'm saying like in the ideal, you're adding it to your arsenal of ways you can have fun in TF2. Because I think the experience you had did not add it to the arsenal of ways you can have fun in TF2.
No,
I think
I never went back to it.
Exactly, but I'm saying part of that is it was Highlander. You know?
I don't know. I think
which has never been the most competitive or serious. Like all the lands we're talking about earlier, by the way, not Highlander lands. Those were all Sixes lands.
No, I get that. I think if it were a younger me with more time and a different outlook towards how I spend my free time, where I could actually have the extra time to go and play multiple competitive games of Sixes and kind of like fully immerse myself into it, then maybe there'd be the chance where I'm like, oh yeah, this is something that I would go back to on a regular basis. But where I am now in my life, I just don't think I have the time. Like, I don't have the time commitment. And then having to organize and interact with 5 more people on a team when I already have enough people in my day-to-day life that I have to keep track of. Like, that alone is also a big deterrent. It's like, I have my friends, I have my groups already, and it's like, now I have to add another one into my social Rolodex. It's a lot to keep up with. But when I was younger and I had, and I was more flexible and my brain was more pliable and not so old and decrepit and filled with cobwebs.
Come on. You gotta, come on, man. Come on. We gotta, there's more to us.
31. I'm unk status, man, as the kids say. But
well, we're definitely dead as far as the kids are concerned. But
yeah, true.
We gotta keep treading on. Yeah,
I don't know, man. It's not something that I don't know if I'd have the time to invest into it. And then I look at, I don't know. I like watching it more than playing it. I get a lot more enjoyment watching other people play Sixes than play it, because if you get the most enjoyment,
but you haven't really
you get
played
out of
it though. Right?
No, yeah. But I feel like the most enjoyment that you're going to get out of Sixes is if you're really good at the game and you pour a shitload more time into getting good at the game.
You could say that if you're me and if you've played a lot of Sixes.
And then also the people are a massive turnoff. I don't like playing with dicks. I don't like playing with assholes.
No, and that's completely fair. But the thing is,
a lot of guys I come across who play Sixes, and the people who presented themselves to me are fucking assholes. It's like, great, that's the expectation I have going in. Great, some fucking prick is gonna be on my team, is gonna chew me out for like missing one of my scattergun pellets. Like, I don't want to fuck with that. I don't want to have to take the game that seriously.
Okay. So let me deconstruct two of them because I'm working my side here. Okay. The time thing makes sense, but I just want to also open you up to the idea that not everyone plays competitive TF2 in a strict league format, right? So for example, for myself, I told you I haven't played on a regular team in like 10 years or something. I've like backed up for teams, whatever, in the last handful of years. But the main way I have played competitive TF2 is in-house pickup games. So it's the kind of thing where you can show up when you want, if you're able, and you can play as few or many matches as you want. So just to say that it's not something that, if I want to get into competitive TF2, I have to play a whole season. I have to blah, 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 right? So that's the first part of it. Then to your experience of people being assholes, you'll get there. You'll believe me eventually. But I think part of it has just been your experience, but I also don't even think it's because you're a highly visible person, right? So you're going to have more people yelling at you anyway.
I would absolutely need to play on an alt. And it sucks too, because as soon as I open my mouth, it's over. Like, that they're going to know it's me. And so like that already is a problem that is unique to my situation.
No, and I hear you. That is super unique to your situation. But I'm saying it is possible too. Because for example, I gave Richter over time his virginal experiences of playing competitive TF2 in my in-house pugs. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So the point is there are places you can experience it, but
not for me, man. I'm sorry.
No,
there's not.
No, Zesty, I promise you.
Like, listen, man. I know you mean well, and I know you think that, but given my status in the TF2 scene, there's no conceivable environment where I can engage in a competitive 6v6 game anywhere without it going to absolute shit. It's just not possible.
Well, that explains your whole perspective on competitive, if that's somewhere in the root of your beliefs. Because, look, I hear what you're saying. It makes sense based on what you've experienced. But if you've never experienced any sixes...
Well, it's going to be tainted
games.
now. It's not going to be like a true virginal experience.
No, but look,
it's going to be tainted no matter how I approach it. Like if I had never been a YouTuber, if I had never been in the position I am now, where I'm just another guy, then I mean, probably yeah. But like another big factor is the social. I'd have to use a fucking voice changer. If I get a voice changer and an alt, then I think it'd be okay.
Here's the thing. There's going to be people who are going to treat you special in bad ways or whatever, for sure. But to give you just proof and context, it's like, dude, not everyone in those circles really even cares about TF2 YouTubers. I say this too because, dude, if you ask Richter played my in-house pugs. No one was weird. No one gave a fuck that he was Richter over time.
The thing is, he's not really a TF2 guy. He's not a TF2 guy. Like they don't even know who he is.
But you have to give that credence. You can't give that zero credit if you're trying to pitch this narrative that like, oh, I'm going to be treated really different. If I say, dude, okay, he's not you. But he's also not Joe Schmo. He is a YouTuber with hundreds of thousands of subscribers.
Like the status of being a YouTuber.
People knew who he was, but they don't care. That's what I'm saying. I mean, there's going to be places you go where 100% you'll be harassed and it's going to be weird. But I'm saying there are also 100% places where there's going to be people like me there who goes, dude, we just want you to have a good time playing what we love in the true way. We're not going to be weird to you.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
You just don't believe it, but I'm saying I know those are my trenches. Those are my people. Like I know it's possible.
I think in the overwhelming majority of spaces that would not be a good place for me, just because of my notoriety. It wouldn't go well. I just know that for a fact because people are always trying to start shit. People are always waiting for the next clippable moment from me, and I've been very careful over these last few years to not give that anymore.
Get clipped.
To not give that anymore. Like I have to be so careful. It sucks where I have to be careful how I play the game when I stream. Because people are waiting for something where they're waiting for me to screw up. They're waiting for me to screw because they're just waiting for that clippable moment where it's going to turn my life upside down for a few days. It's like, it's so fucking stressful. I don't want to.
No,
it's why I don't stream TF2, man.
You're traumatized, bro.
It's fucking
for
awful.
real. You have trauma.
Well, of course. I mean, it's sure trauma. It's just fucking annoying. I hate it. It's like, it's why I only play the game alone.
I use the term trauma I use the term trauma specifically to imply that, like, because you've had these types of negative experiences in the past, it also closes you off now from potentially positive experiences.
True, it does.
Because you're trying to protect yourself from the bad stuff, which could happen. I'm just saying there definitely is a place in a way where that doesn't happen, but I'm telling that to the person. Dude, it's like the same thing.
If I'm proven wrong, then I'll eat crow, but I really don't think so.
No, that's okay. And I know you don't think so, but I'm inviting you to consider the possibility. Let it sit, because I promise you, it's possible. If we're
doing the raw numbers here, statistically, it's out there. You know, my experience is out there.
I'm saying it's not far away. I'm saying I play pickup games all the time.
Sure, and I mean,
when I want. So
in a different timeline, maybe things.
No, but in this timeline, bro, I'm saying there's a very real timeline where we need one more player in my in-house pugs, and then we get you, and you're not harassed. It's possible. I'm just saying.
Maybe.
But that's okay. That's okay.
I don't know.
Hopefully everyone can feel my passion and my good intentions.
No, I know that's all you have are good intentions, and I appreciate you taking the conversation down this path. But I don't know.
And there's hope. If there's hope for someone like Zesty, if I have hope for someone like Zesty, there's hope for you, viewer.
I am extremely embittered by my previous interactions with people in the TF2 sphere, both inside and outside of the competitive scene, where it's like I just don't want to get anywhere near it.
Yeah, no, and I get it too, because look, dude, there are really toxic people, 100%. Another angle of this is that if you imagine, TF2 is a bunch of people in the player population. There are some people, like in real life or in any large population, who have anger issue problems, who have validation issues, who need their sense of self-worth to be proven through a video game by
or they're just a
winning or
sociopath and want to
losing.
be an asshole. I mean, there's always going to be that minority of any population that is just a
That's
fucking
right.
schizo
That's right.
that wants to just ruin your day. They're everywhere, no matter where you go.
That's right. That's right. And so, well, I was going to say too specifically, maybe less with the sociopath thing. Maybe there's something to that. But with the people who have a wanting to prove their self-worth by owning someone, they're more likely to go to competitive, right? So there are
Sure.
people like that in competitive who are toxic. And, it's unfortunate because I'm sure you've run into people too who just hate your guts just because you're who you are or whatever.
Well, that happens no matter where I go. That's like that I'm used to, right? And someone hating my guts doesn't affect my ability to play the game, right? Unless I'm streaming it.
For sure. But anyway, I just want you to believe that even though you haven't met them, there are a lot of silent voices. People, I'm sure even people that listen to you. I saw some in your comments. I saw Aubryac in there, dude I met at LAN, There you have a lot of fan base too, not a huge amount, but a small amount that are competitive players who they're your guys. It's not everyone, but you do have people in that space rooting for you who want you to see it in the way they do, myself included. You know what I mean? So just don't feel it's all hopeless. But
oh no, I mean, I'm not going to deny. Listen, I'm not going to deny that I'm not saying that competitive formats aren't fun. Like, I'm not saying these things are devoid of fun.
It's all good.
And my reluctance to engage with them is because they're devoid of fun. These
no,
miserable,
and I'm not hearing that from
places
you. But I'm saying fun for you based on your specific circumstances.
Sure, yeah, but like I'm just trying to clear up that like I don't view the entirety of competitive TF2 is full of broken glass and spiders. It's just not a place for me.
And here's my last pitch though. You say that, not a place for you. I think you might actually be a little surprised. And what I mean by that is that your kind of takes about TF2 generally, not specifically related to competitive, are more in line with the average takes of competitive players, in my opinion.
I think the reason for that is the people who play competitive TF2 are the people that are really invested into the game and wanted to, last for as long as possible and be as healthy as possible, right? And because so long as the game stays alive at its core, the vanilla game, then by extension also to all of the derivative forms of the game, including its competitive formats. And as you said, and as we both agree, all these guys also love vanilla TF2 and play vanilla TF2. So it's extremely disheartening when they see the game being neglected and mistreated by Valve. And then you have all of these people on the fringes, the majority of people that engage in TF2 discourse, who persist entirely on Reddit and Twitter and don't actually play the game on a regular basis, let alone at all, that will scream in your face and, bark down your throat like, hey, no, this is actually okay. And if you're not happy with TF2's current situation, if you're not happy with the Valve's giving you for free, by the way, it's all free, by the way, then you just want the game to die. Like, people who actually play the game, which competitive players do not have that outlook or mentality towards the game. They are equally as upset, to put it lightly, with how Valve treats it. So it does not surprise me at all, and it would not surprise me at all if competitive players align with me at least on that much, right? Because they actually play the fucking game.
Well, and like, dude, if it's between you and Solarlight, it's like a no-brainer. Again, no smack on Solarlight's character, but the point is, competitive people are very choosy with embracing anyone from what we'd consider like mainstream TF2, like mainstream TF2 figures. Like, I think historically competitive people have always been very critical of kind of anyone who's in the limelight, because usually we don't feel like they really get us. You know what I mean?
And that's something else too that I want to touch on in this competitive discussion is that all of the figures that have been put forth that kind of adopted the label of competitive player onto them, I know for a fact do not reflect the typical competitive player just by what they do, right? So you had people like Solarlight and Dane, and then also say Star, who wasn't really a competitive player, but like admitted in later years that like competitive players were begging him to play. And this is his direct quote, by the way, he says on the live stream, that like people were begging him to play competitive TF2 so it would give it more exposure, right? Like they weren't actual in the weeds, not in the weeds, but like in the trenches competitive players. They're very, very few actual true solid competitive players have put themselves out there over the years, and really only one has lasted all its time, and that's Manny. And you'd have to go back over a decade to go back to a time when in the trenches, true competitive
there was a lot
players
of figures
were out there,
in the
right?
limelight back then.
There
exactly.
were, right? There were many of them. They were the majority, but then you had the rise of the e-celeb culture from 2014 onwards that kind of took over. And then with that, you had the guys that, you know, like, oh yeah, I play competitive TF2, but it was Uncle Dane that plays competitive engineer, or Array 7 that plays, you know, and there are medic mains in competitive sixes, but his approach wasn't exactly like, oh yeah, like competitive meta, et cetera, that kind of thing. And then Solarlight, who plays fucking competitive demo night. You know,
that's right.
It's like these things are like, these guys, while they may engage in competitive formats, are so far removed from what the typical competitive player wants or engages in. It's not reflective of what they're actually doing. And I think it's been a major hindrance, especially in the last 10 years, for any kind of growth or any kind of flourishing in the competitive scene. And then the ones that are brought to the into the limelight, or in this case, like the shit colored light, are the ones that act up, or the ones that do something egregious or terrible, like, you know, fucking Nursey, shit like that. You know, we hear about that. We only hear about the negative things, but like, no one is putting themselves out there as like actual, like, seeming like, and even someone that comes off as nice, right? Like, I've seen some newer competitive players trying to like break out in the YouTube scene, but they're all fucking pretentious dicks.
Okay,
it's like, I don't fucking get it.
Okay, I have one more maybe final point that we can
hit me.
Sort of close out with or whatever, but us talking about, you know, your relationship to competitive players, I think is very crucial to you in a possible positive way, like in a war strategy kind of way. Because, dude, you're a very driven dude. You're very ideologically motivated to instill real change, like in TF2, right? You're trying to create mass persuasion, and so I want you to consider that, like, in that quest for you, I think there's like this lost opportunity of just having more allied kinship with the competitive player base. Only because it's not like no, but here's the thing. I'm telling you, it's super possible, because it's not like you need to like suck them off or something, and like, you know, it's not like you have to sell out to them to do it. I think you just need to try to see them, the actual players, in like enough of a positive light that you're giving them nudges. Because I only say this because, dude, they're ready for you. Because we don't really identify.
No, sure, and this goes back to what I said before. But like, on one hand, I can count the number of positive interactions I've had with, or the number of people I've had.
I know, but
competitive players I've had positive interactions with, like having a sit down conversation. You though, the other like 90% of my interactions have been overtly, strongly negative.
Well, I just don't know. I mean, what other competitive players have you had a sit down conversation with?
I mean, no like big names, but that's the thing.
But you can name them at all.
No one wants to talk. Like, no one wants to chat, and that's my own doing. I get that. It's my own fucking doing.
No,
this is how I pose myself online. But like, no one wants to talk. No one's willing. Right?
But dude, it's partially.
And like my biggest fucking critics out there are the ones that intentionally twist and misrepresent what I'm actually trying to say, in an attempt to like make me, like, paint me as someone that actually genuinely hates competitive players and thinks they need to go, and that they have to die and all that shit, right? That's what I'm used to seeing almost all the time.
I'll try to paint to you objectively what I think's going on, okay? Is that I think, on the real, if I were to tell you, like, what is the competitive scene going to think of you, or how are they going to interact with you? I would bet probably a third of them have issue with you for like transphobe kind of stuff.
That's just the TF2 scene.
Something you said in the past.
That's just the TF2 scene.
No, and I'm not saying it's unique to competitive, but I'm saying that's probably the case. I'm sure there's a third of people who go, oh, that guy's like people say nowadays, Chud Lord, or whatever we said earlier. There's political things there, right?
I pulled that out of my ass, but yeah.
No, I mean, this is what people say these days, but I don't subscribe to this paradigm or whatever. I think it's kind of silly. But a third are like that. And then there's probably a third who are apprehensive about you and have negative judgments about you because they feel like you have contributed to some extent to an anti-comp sentiment that is not warranted, you know, and we've talked about that a lot on this episode. But I think there's at least a good third there, and even a part of that third that can be convinced. So I think 2/3 total. Like, I think there's so many people that are actually already on your side or ready to be on your side, especially if you know, I mean, this conversation is, I think, partially doing that. But like, you say, oh, I don't have positive experiences with competitive players. Like, I found out about you through my friends who are competitive players, like the ones who were vouching for you and liking your perspectives. And in the same token, like I saw in your comments, there's people there I know that are presumably your fans, not my best friends, but they're people I know are competitive players. You just might not realize sometimes that, oh, some of those people already supporting you are like
it's
that.
a shame
You know what I mean?
that the assholes are the ones that like making themselves known.
Well, and
Because
they're easier to remember.
I'd like to talk with the nice guys. It'd be great, but
But that's what I'm saying. Don't
it doesn't happen.
No, I know, but I swear to you, erase the narrative that you are like untouchable and people won't talk to you, because I swear, dude. I don't know who your list is of people that you want to talk to, but like I guarantee you we could organize like
I don't even know
all
who
kinds
to
of competitive people.
I don't even know. I mean, it'd be cool to have them on just to talk with them on the
No,
show
but my
too.
point is,
But
I just
like,
don't have the framing that like, oh, they're not even willing to talk to me. I don't think that's what it is at all. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah,
There might be that third of players who aren't for whatever reason, but yeah.
No, sure, yeah, but like it would have to be people that are completely disconnected with the social discourse around the game, and those who have not interacted with it for many years to be like, okay, yeah, he's just like another guy.
That's my point though, is that competitive TF2 people have never given as much stock to the mainstream social discourse in TF2.
Not from what I've seen, man, but again, that's my own biases.
That's what I'm saying. That's your bias.
It's my own
I'm telling
biases,
you,
but like any competitive player that I've seen, when it comes to speaking about me, is like overtly like, this guy should just die right now. Like that's just what I'm used to seeing.
But those are just, I don't know, those are just the few vocal people you're talking about. I'm just saying, like,
it's not a few. I think I've seen almost a lot of that 1/3 you mentioned, because there's a lot of them.
All right. Well, and like we said, there is the 1/3 who are just going to go, you know, this guy's
no, yeah.
I have political issues, or this guy's a bigot.
This sucks because this comes off as like a pity party. Woe is me. It's not. I'm just stating objective facts.
But you do need to tweak a little bit of it. It is half a pity party. Half of it is totally true, but then the other half is, I feel like you've glossed over your eyes a little bit to be like, oh, no one will talk to me. These people, they all hate me, and it's not true.
It's just what I've gotten used to, man. It's what I've gotten
used to. No, and you're good. I don't blame you for it.
I'm just trying
to bring you out of it.
I'm not looking for fucking sympathy here. I'm not looking for something like, oh, like fucking feel sorry for me. Like, I don't give a shit. If someone doesn't want to talk to me, I don't give a fucking rat's ass. I'm gonna move on and do what I keep wanting to do. I don't give a fuck. But like, if it's disappointing that like when I want to have a conversation, it does suck that I've like screwed that over for myself, right? Because how I composed myself years ago, whatever. But I'm not granted the opportunity because of extremely minor shit, and that's frustrating. No, and I hear you. And I think that's happened to you a lot in the broader TF2 community. I just don't know, like, dude, have you like reached out to Baney and said, hey, and then I'll kind of like go from there again. Ask that again. Okay. Ask that again. So for the record, for people watching, my cat's fat fucking tail, here she is, hit my keyboard and then stopped the recording. So we had to cut there. Thankfully we didn't. Thankfully it happened like 2 seconds ago. We didn't miss much. We didn't miss much. So ask the question. Yes. Ask the question. I was asking you just because you have this perception that people aren't willing to have conversations from you from experience, which I think is probably totally true. You know, I'm not doubting what you have experienced, but I'm just saying when it comes to especially people like you lending a branch to the TF2 comp world, I really think like most comp people would be willing to have that conversation with you, if not only for the fact that you have a big platform and, you know, people usually don't get invited to those kind of things. Like Wild Rumpus, for example, like I'm sure he would love to have a conversation. Have you asked Banny? Have you asked the people who run the leagues? Like, I just think you shouldn't feel like it's not possible. No, I know, and I'm not asked because I've been either burned or shunned or scorned by so many that's like I don't even bother. I know. I just feel bad because it's like, dude, you're at least in the comp sense, you're getting burned by like no names. You know what I'm saying? Which happens, of course. Sure. I mean, I just don't want that to like. A lot of people are no names, but for sure. But just that's my final point here. Really, Zesty, is just that like I think you already have more in common than you think with a lot of competitive-minded players and community members and such, and I just think they are an ally for your cause, ready for you to just kind of give them a little more sense of like, nah, this guy is with us. Like this guy he's against Valve, but he's not trying to shit on Valve. Because even then there's like misconceptions people might have about you as like, oh, isn't that the guy smearing competitive, you know? No, yeah, sure. And they're probably, yeah. And but I know you have fans too who are competitive players, you know? No, yeah, so. I'm sure I do. I just never see them.
And shout out in the comments, dude. Shout out to everyone in the comments.
No, yeah, I mean, I just never see them. And as I've said before, the overwhelming majority of my interactions with people in the competitive scene have been negative. Again, no thanks to my own actions. I get that. So no one needs to remind me of that. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe at some point I will, but I feel like some part of me does feel like it's I mean, some part of me feels like it's too little too late, because then, like, to what end? Right, to what end can I do by rallying the competitive players that would be willing to do that, right? Because but then to what end, right? It's like, okay, great, they're in my camp now, but then like we're all facing down Valve here, which is, you know, this.
For sure, it's not like they're going to solve your problems, but I see it as an easy ally. That's my perspective on it.
No, potentially. And it'd be good to have more people willing to,
and a small ally, but
and just more people willing to vocalize their gripes with Valve more is always a good thing, right? Because I just don't think we have enough of that in general. And if we had more people that played the game, actually played the game, which competitive players do, that were more comfortable with vocalizing how Valve treats the game and had treated the game in the past instead. And that's something else too, right? Like, I'm not trying to put blame on one side or the other. But a really frustrating thing to me is that, like, okay, competitive players got really screwed over too by Meet Your Match. They had their own servers to go back to, but like, where were y'all?
Yeah, I mean, that's the reality of it, is that you're seeing this discourse arise now. You're seeing the video essays arise now. There was no immediate blowback in that kind of published media outward way from the competitive scene on the initial frustration.
No, and from no one.
Yeah,
no,
exactly right.
It's not. I'm not saying where were y'all just to the competitive, because where were y'all for anyone? I mean, the only two YouTubers I can think of that said anything negative about Meet Your Match was Muzelk, one, and then he immediately jumped ship for Overwatch afterwards because he was fucking fed up. And then Zenomite was another one, who was a relatively large figure back then, and he was really laying it on heavy, like Valve was like, really fucked this up, and laid it out pretty clean, like, this is how this really screwed up. But I mean, he was, you know, a more cynical, abrasive type, and he got fucking chased out because people weren't having it. Yeah. And that's just been a problem in TF2 for the majority of its lifespan, is people can't handle any kind of negative light shined on Valve. But if we had more people that played the game, actually played the game, and it's like,
well, but that's why I say you're already kind of allied, because, like, dude, the competitive people are like that, but the thing is, the competitive community has always lacked vocal public figures, YouTubers, whatever. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, even though there's these Array Sevens or Solar Lights who will mention competitive and make competitive stuff, they're not core competitive players. They're YouTube people. And look, dude, it's no diss on Solar Light or whatever, but it's just like, again, you're using an alternative thing, whereas, like, I feel like I have a sense of the grassroots heart of, like, normal competitive players, and they have all that sentiment. They have all those opinions. Even all the people who pushed Meet Your Match and met at the Valve offices, you could force them in a room and make them write a real bitter video essay about what happened. It just didn't happen.
Yeah, I just wish, I mean, imagine if we had that years ago, man. We'd be,
and I know, but dude, that's the thing.
Too. Like, I wish I had started doing this. I wish I was born some years earlier, where I was this critical of the game and understood what the fuck was going on years ago, right? Because maybe I could have been one of the voices back then, like, screaming, like, "Hey, do you see where this is going? This is really bad." And then, well, too little, too late.
That's right, man. And hindsight's 2020. I mean, it's all the trailing optimism too, of, like, there used to be a time where, yeah, we could tell Valve was kind of taking the foot off the gas pedal, but we had hope still, you know? So it was a little too soon to be a doomer about it. But then, of course, in retrospect, we should have been doomers about it right away. But
it was
there was still some hope in the air, you know?
It's frustrating too, because, like, you can go back and look in old Steam forums and other forums and see people, like, hitting the nail on the head, knowing exactly where this is going, but, like, it wasn't being picked up by anyone with a big megaphone, or no one was giving it a big megaphone. And then, like, you had so many players, just normal players, seeing where Valve was taking the game, and then when the shit hit the fan, that was it. They knew it. They predicted it. It's like, damn, if only I could have been back there with the following I have now, and could have said something. But
dude, and the reality,
and it sucks, because I know I'm not the only one that thinks this way. Because again, hindsight, like you said, is 2020, but it sucks. It does.
So many people just turn around and gave up. I mean, like Star was 100% the most important TF2 YouTuber for a few years.
100%, absolutely.
And he mentioned competitive, and he also mentioned a lot of his frustrations with Valve kind of in those years. And I think it's part of what pushed him away. I feel like he felt pushed away by the scene and the community in certain ways. And then he also largely felt pushed away by, dude, like, why am I playing this game that's ran by these devs who clearly don't know what they're doing, you know? And even voiced the frustration with this like leading on of a matchmaking system. He was upset before it even came out that like, dude, this has been teased for years. Like, when is this even actually going to happen? Like, Valve is such a shit show. And then I think when it actually hit the fan, it's like, dude, these people just gave up on TF2. There was no final, oh, here's my declaration of, let me put a strong final message for how Valve might have fucked things up. It's just despondence. It's just despair. And that's the same thing that happened to all the competitive community leaders that were so crucial in that time. It's like, dude, they never had a final say. Where's the final say from a Sideshow or, you know, Mr. Slin or Truck or the production people, the Dashners? I guess he got canceled, but you know what I'm saying? The Math Sads, the TFT people.
About that. Jesus.
None of those people had a big, strong public final word. They just all turned away and tried to remember the happy parts about TF2 and just thought, well, I tried.
It sucks. It sucks because if all of this had happened 3 or 4 years later, when it was much more acceptable and common for people to make video essays or tweets being heavily critical of their media and where their games are coming from and who's handling them, then maybe things would be different. But like it's so funny. Like TF2 was like the first for everything. Like TF2 was like it was just a little too early in some aspects and a little too late in others too, where things just didn't quite happen at the right time. Because if Meet Your Match came out in 2020, when it was like, oh, okay, you can actually hold a game developer responsible now because of the prevalence of social media and the power it has, then maybe things would be different. If they had gotten completely annihilated on Twitter by like fuckloads of big accounts, you know, like they did for Save TF2 and Fix TF2, maybe they could have squeezed out a response, but nothing. It's just bad timing. Just bad timing.
But that's why, I mean, it's cool you are trying to be as vocal as you are at all right now about it. Because I think that's like, why aren't there other voices? Because I think everybody else is just like, it's too late, whatever. What are we going to do? You know?
It sucks that I still have hope. Part of me wishes I didn't. But I just love this game too much. I know it sounds fucking cheesy or whatever, but I really do. This game is like, it is irreplaceable. It's something that is had such a massively positive influence on my life over years, and I was just playing it today, and even though casual mode blows, I was still having fun, even though I only got to play in 5 to 10 minute spurts at best. I mean, I love
those 5 minutes.
The 5 minutes I got, I'm loving it, but it's like me knowing that it could be so much better with so little effort on Valve's part.
Yeah.
And if we just got a big enough push and it was just loud enough, then maybe, just maybe, Valve would do something. But it's just that we can't even get a consensus that there's something wrong with the game right now. And that's the most frustrating part, when for someone like me, it's so obvious. But the next guy who started playing the game in 2022, he loves his traffic cone, candy cane, corn hat, whatever, and thinks that, the
candy
server...
Candy cane, corn.
I don't know if I'm just trying to throw something out there. Like, he thinks that's great. It's like, it's the bee's knees, man. He's just waiting for the next hat box to come out, and this is normal. It's like, I can't even... I'm deviating away from competitive talk now. I'm sorry. I guess to wrap it up, to tease at the the video I'm working on right now, is just trying to get everyone on the same page that there is something very wrong with casual mode and that things could be so much better, and you don't need to have experienced quick play to understand that. And
dude, so real.
And it's like, it's just looking at how TF2 behaves and plays right now. If you compare it to any other video game on the market right now of equal size and stature, even many games that are smaller, the experience that TF2 provides is fucking laughable. It is the worst new player experience on the market, period, bar none. And it's insane that we are tolerating this and have tolerated this for as long as we have. When you can just go to any other game with a skill-based matchmaking experience, sit down and play uninterrupted for a long period of time. Whereas in Team Fortress 2, you will sit down and within minutes, you're going to be interrupted by a broken matchmaking system. And that just sucks. And we don't even have a consensus on that. We have, and the consensus, the vocal consensus is it needs to be that there's something wrong, because there just objectively is. And that's the frustrating part too. And this is what I said earlier. The largest vocal parts of the TF2 scene don't even play the fucking game. And those are the ones that carry the most weight in any kind of large discourse on Twitter, on Reddit, and even on YouTube. People that don't even play the game on a regular basis have the most weight on where conversations go, and that just sucks. And I really hope to God, I'm probably the last one's going to do this anymore, that if I just make a big enough video, maybe enough people will go, wow, yeah, maybe we should talk about this more. But that's the only power I have, and I just gotta. And the more people on my side, the better, right? If I can get the competitive players on this train too, and get them talking about this more, great, fantastic. Because it would benefit you guys too. It benefits you guys too. A healthy vanilla game just means more players to go over to competitive formats.
100%. No, I feel like that's what I mean. The comp people, I feel like, are ready for the vehicle that you're pushing. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the only hang up for some people might be your reputation, right? Or might be just a sense of like, well, does that guy even like us? You know what I mean? I thought that guy's against comp or something like that, which maybe, they haven't heard this. They haven't heard you talking now.
I don't hate you.
That's right.
I don't hate you. God.
And that's what we're doing. We're bridging the gap. We're like the meme of like the multiracial handshake right now. I mean, not, we're trying to do that because, it's, we are on the same side of that. And you're saying, look, there's a very vocal minority of people who don't even play the game. Dude, the competitive people play the game and they're with you, man. They're just not vocal. And the people who are with you are not vocal. You know what I'm saying? And we've never been super vocal.
Please, that's not true. Vocal. Please be
we were
vocal more.
But then we've been, it's just the times have changed.
Be vocal again. God damn it.
That's right. We influenced the game so much and then we got blackpilled because we saw what happened and went, well, that didn't fucking work. So
things could be so much better.
That's right. But we got to believe again. That's right.
Believe again.
Let's do it, man.
That's the message of the
quality
podcast
of life
for today.
Let's fix this.
Quality of life. Believe again. Hold Valve accountable. And if it makes the vanilla game better, then that means more players for competitive formats. Yes, and for every other form of TF2 as well, like MVM, all that shit. So
totally.
Hey man,
all right, well, thank you, man. Thank you.
That's a solid 2 hours. I think it'll probably be our longest.
We're healing the world, dude.
We're mending the wounds. We're mending the wounds.
Let's come together. Even the friendlies. Look, I'm sorry, I don't understand your way of life. I am gonna kill you, but let's.
I love if you take that out of context. It's so listen. I am gonna kill you. But
I'm gonna murder you, dude. I'm here to play the game. Look, dude.
Shit. Oh man. No, yeah, it was great. Any final words, Casual?
No, just a big thank you for again inviting me on the show in the first place, for wanting to have this kind of discussion. I think it's fantastic. I feel like we're on the same page here. We're trying to get closer, same pageness, and find our commonalities. And I just encourage everybody else listening, dude, that love one another of the normal TF2 players. Comp can be really cool. I promise you, even if you have a bad taste in your mouth about it. And there's a lot of really great people you would love and vice versa, dude. Comp people, try not to be pretentious. Try to have some optimism for the future. And as always, understand that we're in this together because we're all TF2 fans in one way or another.
Exactly.
That's cool.
That's what I wanted to close with. We are all TF2 fans, not in the sense of a Reddit fan or a Twitter fan or one of the 66% of my audience that either doesn't play the game or doesn't play the game on a regular basis. That is an accurate statistic based on a poll I took on my channel. Kind of shocking. But we are all fans of the game and we all play the game, or many of us play the game, and we all want what's best for it. We want the game to thrive, and it'd be, in my opinion, pretty easy to achieve that if we just used our voices more. So hopefully we can. On that note, thank you all for watching. Link to Casual's channel in the description below, along with Richter's. He couldn't be here today again, so next time he will be back. And on our next episode, we might have a guest, so stay tuned. Stay tuned for that one. It's gonna be a fun time. So thank you all again, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Peace.